Hi everyone, good beautiful Sunday. You're now watching the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa. We're now at episode 71. Today is December 5, and our topic for today is how to effectively mitigate and manage attrition. We would like to invite each and every one of you to please stay with us, watch us in the next 60 to 90 minutes for another weekend of learning and discussion. Welcome to the HR Cafe. We are an online talk show program and we're sponsored by the Philippines HR Group. And this is aired via live stream every Sunday at 3 p.m. at all Philippines HR Group FB page and also our PHRG YouTube channel. For all the previous episodes, please join us at our FB group page also of the HR Cafe, Trabaho, Buhay at Iba Pa, and you'll be able to watch all of the previous episodes. My name is Coach Darwin Rivers. I'm the president and founder of the Philippines HR Group. I'm a certified life coach, I'm a public speaker, a motivational speaker, and HR consultant. I am working currently as the VP for Global Operations with a BPO company here in the Philippines. And joining with me, of course, are the HR Cafe servers. We have Mentor John Bernard Ordonez Kaasi, who's currently on leave right now and very busy with the upcoming Feast Summit. But of course, joining me for today are two lovely ladies. We have Mentor Ronadale Florentino. Mentor Rona has more than 20 years of HR practitioner experience working in different international and local companies. She's also the president and CEO of Aprush Social Geekers. She's also a public speaker and an HR consultant. Mentor Rona, how are you today?
Good. Napakaganda na kumpleto tayo ngayon. Ayan, good afternoon po sa ating mga usual tambay dito sa HR Cafe. It's another Sunday learning for all of us. Kaya napakasaya naman po ng araw na ito. Back to you, Coach Darwin.
And of course, aside from Mentor Rona, we also have Mentor Tina Coang. Mentor Tina is an operations and HR leader with broad local and overseas experience. She's a general manager of a retail company and an online content creator and blogger, well known for her blog, tinainmanila.com. Hi, Mentor Tina.
Hi, Coach Darwin, Mentor Rona. Thank you so much. And then welcome also to all our viewers. We already have quite a few people saying hi to us. So we have Trisha Joy, who has tagged her friend Melody Cruz. And then we also have Michelle Delfinado saying, Good afternoon, mentors. And we welcome everyone to the HR Cafe. If you want to have a shout out, please leave your name, where you are from, which company you are in, and sana to tell us a little bit more about the city where you are at the moment. So Ethel Sari says hi. Matilde Fernandez Belen says hi. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the HR Cafe.
Okay, here at the HR Cafe, ladies and gentlemen, we provide timely news and updates. We impart knowledge and experience that are value adding and beneficial to you, our audience. We also discuss problems, issues, and challenges and provide answers and resolutions through our guest speakers. We discuss new technology, tools, and processes, as well as industry's best practice. If your company has a job opening, please share it to us, and we'll be happy to share it to all of our audience. We are a virtual job board and we would like to connect employers and prospective employees. At the end of the day, we bridge understanding between the company and the employees and provide inspiration and motivations to everyone. So join us here at the HR Cafe. Now, whenever we start our program, we've been doing this since March of 2020, and we're at episode 71. We always start it with a wow quote for the week. And for this week, our wow quote for the week comes from Jack Welch. Jack Welch, ladies and gentlemen, is the CEO of GE, General Electric. According to Jack Welch, before you become a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But after you become a leader, success is about growing others. Let me just repeat that. Before you become a leader, success is all about growing yourself. But after you become a leader, success is about growing others or growing your team. Now, how does this quote resonate to you? Please share it to us so that we can share it to our audience. Mentor Rona, you know Jack Welch. How does this quote resonate to you?
Yes, close po kami ni Jack Welch. Na joke lang. See, for me, well, whenever you are, when you are growing, and you are going through your career, you don't think about growing others naman talaga. You don't start with thinking about others. You think of yourself first, and you need to grow yourself first simply because you cannot give what you do not have. Para din yung pag-ibig, para yung love life. Hindi ka po pwedeng magmahal kung hindi mo mahal yung sarili mo. And that the same goes for success. You cannot be successful if you haven't grown yourself first. So you need to grow first before you can help others become successful as well. Kasi in order to help others, you need to have this plethora of experiences to share to them, to let them know, to guide other people in their own paths to success. So for me, that's what Jack Welch is saying here. Na you need to make sure that ikaw mismo sa sarili mo, you're able to grow yourself. You understand what you're after. Kanina lang may nakita ko do sa group natin na hindi siya masayad sa trabaho niya, etc., etc. Yun yung sinasabi natin. Find out what you want, what drives you, what makes you happy. Know yourself. If you don't know yourself, you will not know how you can grow. You will not know what is your definition of success. Kasi iba-iba tayo ng definition eh. Your definition of success might be having a six-figure salary. My definition of success is all about learning. So find out what's your definition of success, how you're going to get there, and when you get there, when you can say that you are successful, then you can start growing others as a leader. Kasi tandaan natin a leader inspires. That's the one of the primary roles of a leader. A leader inspires. You cannot inspire others if you yourself you're not inspired. Yan. What about you, Mentor Tina? Ano masasabi mo kay paring Jack Welch today?
Well, it's a bit different, slightly different of a definition. Kasi ever since, I've always believed that everybody has the capacity to shine. I mean, kahit na from the time when you are young up to the time when you get older and siguro wiser, more experienced, I sincerely believe that every person has that capacity to be more and to give more and to contribute more to society. And I think a lot of people kasi we box ourselves in our little world. Parang for us, we look at life as a series of routines that we do day in and day out. And if you look at it from our world alone, you feel that your life is so limiting. Ito lang ba ang buhay ko? Wala na bang iba? You know, you find your purpose on something that is within the four corners of your room or four corners in your house. But I sincerely believe kasi that for somebody to have a more fruitful life, they have to actually get out of their box and to actually create impact to other people. When I say other people, it's not like being a president or a manager in your organization, but kahit in your own family, in your own groups of friends, in your community, parang you have to look at things na labas sa sarili mo. Because when you do that, then you are creating a positive impact in the world. You don't actually have to be Elon Musk. You don't have to run for president. You don't have to like be a business leader or like a coach or a mentor to create an impact. A lot of people already do within their own friends, 'di ba? Like, are you the type of friend na hinahanap ng mga ibang tao pag may problema sila? Right? Does your family depend on you para sa, for example, sa pagbili ng groceries? Right? So I think like we look at success all the time as wealth, money, authority, power, but we forget that success is about being you know the type of person we become, the character we become, the impact we make in people around us. Na pag namatay ka, sorry, pero pag namatay ka, sino talaga ang pupunta sa burol mo at iiyak? You know, because it's kind of like there's some people when they die, like nobody knows, nobody cares. But if you die, kahit na yung best friend mo lang, or like yung family mo pupunta dyan, and then they tell you parang, you know, sobrang mamimiss ko siya. And I already think na you're already successful kasi ito lang. When you die, you don't bring any of the wealth and the power and the authority with you. You don't bring a single cent. Yung Rolex mong yan, pag binurol kasama mo, nanakawin lang yun. What you bring is more of your integrity, your character, your legacy, the type of your reputation, the type of person that you are, the memories that people believe in you. I think that's more important. And when you look at it in that perspective, I think everybody can be a leader, 'di ba? Hindi kailangan sa ano kasi we always look at it from a work perspective eh. No, if you want to be successful in your own house, in your own friend group of friends and in the own community. And before I turn it over to Coach Darwin for his thoughts, we'd like to welcome Paul Herrera. Hello everyone and hello to you too. Noli Nolasco, hello ma'am and sir. First time daw siya to watch live. I hope there is a second and a third time. Junrix Calanta says good afternoon. Zeus Panetta says the same thing. Sherry Cruz de Chavez says good PM everyone from Marikina City. Somebody's watching from Bacoor. Hello to Moderator Sir Darwin and Ma'am Rona and Ma'am Tina. Bab Cruz. Welcome to the HR Cafe. Good afternoon mga ka-HR. Kuya Bab from Mandaluyong City. We do have somebody who says not all successful people can lead. Success is the outcome of leadership when you make a difference to people that you influence. Tama po yun. Gretchen Fetalco has tagged her Susan de Jesus. And then Rodeline CG, Inez Cabello Katapang, Maureen Garcia, and then we do have somebody from Lapu-Lapu City, Cebu. Wena, ayan. So hello to all. Coach Darwin, your thoughts?
My thoughts about it, nako, akmang-akma yung mga sinabi niya ni Mentor Rona sa ikaw. For me kasi, for this particular quote that Jack Welch has mentioned, it shows the importance of starting from something. It shows the
Mm,
importance of growing your career, growing your life, growing whatever you started. It's really starting on something and growing experience. Because if you have the experience, if you have the maturity, that's the only time you'll be able to share it to other people.
mm,
Sabi nga
mm,
ni Mentor Rona kanina, you cannot give what you don't have. If you are not full of experiences, full of knowledge, if you're not able to understand things in your own way, then you will not be able to help people, motivate people, and make people passionate about the things that they do. And about leadership nga, di ba? You can always have the title, but without the trust and confidence of the people around you that will see that you're adding value to their life, baliwala yung title na yun and you'll not be successful. Balik tayo sa sinabi ni Jack Welch. Growing others, if you're able to give value, sabi nga ni Mentor Tina, it's not only in the workplace, it's in your family, in your friends, in your community. If you're able to give value in your own little way, then that's your contribution to your success. And sabi nga, pag namatay tayo, the only thing that we can bring is memories of what we've done for other people, right? So that's it from my end. And I hope that by always watching the HR Cafe, people will always not only be inspired, but also learn. Because in learning, we'll be
mm.
able to grow ourselves and be able to inspire others and share our learning to others. So let's go to our HR question for the week. Nako, ito ano to eh. Napaka madugong usapan to over the past 2 weeks. Are employers obligated to implement the vaccination mandate that went effective December 1st, 2021? So just to give a background, IATF a week before December 1 issued IATF Resolution 184B. Tama ba ako, Mentor Roland, Mentor Tina? 184B na nagsasabi na if you are an employee and if you're going back to work, the new work arrangement is that you should be fully vaccinated or partially vaccinated. Actually, yung una, fully vaccinated eh. Tapos binago nila, inad nila yung partial vaccinated. Pero if you have not undergone vaccination, you are required to undergo RT-PCR test every 2 weeks.
Mm.
And it is paid by the employee. Not by the employer, it is paid by the employee. Now, maraming mga balitaktakan discussion about it kasi sabi nga is there is an existing mandate, existing law that actually is conflicting to
Mm.
this resolution of IATF.
Mm.
But let's look at it in a business sense. Would employers be at the right to actually implement a resolution by the government where it is actually meant to protect not only the employees but also the customers of the business? So what are your thoughts about it?
All right.
Pwede natin si Mentor Tina kasi retail si Mentor Tina eh.
Okay. It is true. Dollar Labor Advisory number 3, I think, protects people from the vaccination mandate rule. Dole has actually issued a labor advisory earlier this year saying that the employer should not be able to discriminate. Cannot discriminate, 'di ba? Kasi pag nagreklamo ang tao, si Bello daw ang sisingil sa employer para bayaran yung hindi pinasok ng tao na yon. And what's very important with the IATF guideline is you have to really read it. Kasi the IATF resolution number 149-A series of 2021, which was issued last November 18, 2021, says, ito yung nakakatawa, it says, public and private establishments, yada, 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 to accommodate only fully vaccinated individuals may nonetheless validly refuse entry or deny service to individuals who remain unvaccinated or are merely partially vaccinated despite being eligible for vaccination. So, kunyari, pwede kang ma-vaccinate, wala kang health conditions, pero ayaw mo, then sabi ng IATF, establishments can refuse entry or service. Very important here, it doesn't really mention anything much about the employer. It's more of the public and the private establishment, which is in our case, the mall, the landlords. So for example, it's really hard for many industries, for example, like for example, if you work in an office, that building is instructed not to allow, to refuse entry. 'Di ba? So there's a lot of buildings now, pag papasok ka, they will ask you for a vaccination card, for example, because that is what IATF says. So for many industries or businesses who are inside these public or private establishments, they are somewhat given a pass. Kasi hindi naman sila yung hindi nagpapapasok. It is actually the building, the mall, the establishment that is actually refusing to let you enter. Same with, for example, if you're an agency hired, you're a housekeeper in a hotel, pero it's the hotel itself who refuses entry. Paano ka makakapagtrabaho if hindi ka makapasok? So there is that sort of protection for that. And for a lot of people naman na parang sabi ko, they own the building. May konting problema din. So there is a way to skin it in such a way that it is not really from an employment standpoint, but rather more from a establishment building standpoint. It is not the company who refuses you entry. It is not the company who doesn't ask you to work. Hindi ka lang kasi makapasok and we need you to come in. Since hindi ka makapasok, wala kang trabaho. Floating ka muna hanggang magpalit ng policy si IATF. So there is that bit of, what do you call it? Lusot? Loophole, so to speak. How about you, Mentor Rona?
I think one of the things that we have to keep in mind is, actually not keep in mind, but we have to accept the fact na magulo. Okay, magulo yung naging announcement ni IATF. Magulo yung naging announcement din ni Dole. I think everyone's trying to grandstand since malapit ng election, and that's something that I really, really hate. But if the question is, are employers obligated? There's a reason why it's called mandated. Okay, you have to. Okay, so that's one. Is the announcement legal, binding, etc.? We have to remember that IATF memorandum, labor advisories, anything that has advisory anything that is a memorandum, as long as it's not an RA, okay, then it can supersede previous ones. Even actually, even yung mga laws natin, whenever you come up with something new, it supersedes the previous one. Okay, so that's one. Ang problema natin, yun nga kasing, ito kasi, ang dole talaga. Minsan sumasakit ang ulo ko dito. Nag-announce kasi sila na hindi dapat i-discriminate, and now there is something na nilabas that sort of discriminates. Okay? How do employers handle this? Ano po pwede ngayong gawin ng employers? Okay. You need to have your employees who are going on-site vaccinated. Okay? Yung mga magtatrabaho on-site, wala tayong magagawa, vaccinated. Okay? Correct. May nagsabi doon sa ating comment na IATF is an interagency where DOLE is part. Yes, DOLE is part of it. I don't know why they don't seem to be talking to each other. Wala ata silang group chat. Hindi sila nagkakaintindihan. Matagal na to nagiging problema natin. Kaya nga palagi ko sinasabi, always take it with a grain of salt whenever they make any announcements ng walang documentation kasi nagkakagulo talaga sila. Well, in some parts nakakairita, but we also have to keep in mind that this is the first time that all of this is happening. They need to move fast. They need to move very quickly. So minsan yung kanilang mga announcement talaga namang they contradict each other. So nakakairita, but let's give them some sort of benefit of the doubt. Anyone who has to report for work on site needs to be vaccinated. That's very clear. What if the employee does not want to get vaccinated? It's also very clear that if someone doesn't want to get vaccinated, you cannot terminate that person or discriminate against that person. Okay? You cannot tell the person na, okay, insubordination yan. No. If the person doesn't want to get vaccinated, you cannot force that person because that's already bordering on the rights of that person. Okay? Violation of the rights of that person. That's second. Now, what happens if, for example, they don't want to get vaccinated but they want to report for work? They have to do the RT-PCR every 2 weeks. Okay? Dito medyo sablay talaga yung pagkakagawa nito. Kasi now, it places the burden of having the RT-PCR on the employees. The employees don't have work na nga eh. They are unable to go to work. Tapos ngayon magbabayad pa sila. So, medyo doon din naghihimagsik yung ating mga employees. Now, the employers, of course, hindi naman pwedeng ibalik sa kanila yung burden kasi they've been burdened for quite some time. And of course, employers will take advantage of that part na, hindi na kami dyan, kayo nang bahala dyan sa RT-PCR test ninyo. So, anong choice ngayon ng meron si employee? Of course, ang choice nila is to not report for work because most likely they won't have, hindi mura ang RT-PCR test. Okay? At the very least, the pinakamura RT-PCR ang pinag-uusapan natin. Ang pinakamura nakita ko is around 2,000. There are tests na mas mura doon, but I am not sure if it's allowed. But nonetheless, hindi ito yung mga tipong 50 pesos lang. It still costs a significant amount for the employees. So the employee now doesn't have any option but not to report for work. Ano ngayon ang option ni employer? Pwede ba niyang kulitin si employee to report for work? Hindi. Unless siya ang mag-shoulder ng RT-PCR test, and then of course, is a salary deduction in the future. But, meron din tayong announcement na hindi po pwede na i-salary deduction yun. So, yun yung sinasabi natin na ang gulo-gulo. Kaya ang dami nagre-reklamo about this. But if the question is, are we mandated, are we obligated? Yes, because there is a reason why the word mandate is in the memorandum. Okay? Paano ang gagawin ng mga employers? Sa mga sandaling to, I would encourage you to talk to your employees and come up with options. Yun yung pinaka-the best. Kasi if we would rely solely on what is on the memorandum, on yung mga announcements, magkakagulo tayo. So come up with your own policy or process or procedure that is a win-win for both. Employers, kailangan yung habaan yung patience nyo. Alam ko na everyone, including us actually, every size and shape of businesses, we're trying to make do with what we have. We want to take advantage of the announcements of the government. Pero let's also don't forget that our employees are also having a hard time following all of this. So talk to your employees, tignan nyo kung paano nyo po pwedeng gawin yan while also adhering to what is required by law. Okay? If hindi naman kailangan mag-on-site lahat at hindi rin kaya na magpa-vaccinate, work from home, flexible work arrangements, yan, pwede pa rin niya you can still take advantage of that. Okay? So, yun yung stand ko dyan. Pero definitely, ang gulo-gulo ng ngayon. Ng IATF, ng DOLE, all of them. Feeling ko super nai-stress na rin sila sa nangyayari, especially now that we also have a new variant as si Omicron, tama ba? Kaya hindi rin nila alam kung paano nila i-handle itong mga bagay-bagay na to. Kaya, back to you, Coach. Ano po ang masasabi mo?
Well, I think let's start with why is such a provision made by the Office of the President and IATF. It's really more of to drive Filipino people to undergo vaccination, because we believe that if we have 90% of the population vaccinated, we will have herd immunity, which will actually help revive the current economy, right? And then it's really more of a purpose na kailangan i-drive yung mga tao kasi napakarami mga fake news sa lumabas ng mga nakaraang buwan na kesyo there are certain issues, fake news about vaccination and whatnot. Now, with regards to the IATF resolution, I would say yes that there is a lot of gaps, and tama nga si Mentor Rona and Mentor Tina. There's a lot of gaps, but what I'm seeing is that the IATF resolution is an ongoing, evolving resolution, because if you remember, initially they're saying that only fully vaccinated people should be allowed in the office. Now they're okay with partially vaccinated, and now they're driving for a vaccination leave, wherein if you are scheduled to take your first or second dose of vaccines, employers now are required to excuse the employee on the day of their vaccination. At tinanong si Dole, pag sinabi mong excuse, ano yung sabihin nun? Paid. So if the employee is scheduled for a vaccination, either first dose or second dose, or even booster, within the period from December 1 onwards, according to Dole, it should be paid because the employee should also be excused on that day. I think it's really more of really encouraging people to be vaccinated. But reminder lang sa mga employers, bawal hindi po reason ang non-vaccination for you to terminate your employees. There is a lot of things that you can do. You can look into the kind of work that they're doing. Baka naman po pwedeng i-work at home setup niyo siya, or baka po pwede niyo siyang telecommuting, wherein kung hindi man sa bahay, sa isa pang other areas where the person can be able to work freely. Or you can also check if it's not possible for work at home. What we did, and this is just me sharing, is that there are companies, especially in the BPO sector, na what we did is we did an antigen testing for all the employees that are not yet vaccinated but is to work on site. And it's a company who shouldered that vaccination testing, and we'll be shouldering it for the first and second testing kasi every 2 weeks. But for January, naglabas kami na hanggat wala pang sinasabing changes si Dole or si IATF, by January 1st, it will be the employer na who will shoulder either the RT-PCR test or the antigen testing. For those people who are not yet vaccinated, then we put them into temporary floating status, or we find a way for them to be able to work. If not, then we put them into the temporary floating. Pero may nagtanong nga daw sa Dole, to yung temporary floating, kasi di ba, you can put the person into temporary floating at a maximum of 6 months, or on or before 6 months. So it will really depend kung siguro naman by next year, depending on what will happen in the new variant of the virus, or how fully vaccinated our population is, the IATF resolution will be evolving and will be changing. So, ano lang po tayo, wag po tayong mag-terminate ng employees, ipatupad lang po natin ang sinasabing mandate kasi it's a vaccination mandate. Pero one thing lang, Mentor Tina and Mentor Rona, wala ba kayo napapansin dun sa dun sa resolution? Wala siyang penalties. Unlike other resolutions
True.
before, wala siyang penalties. So, IATF itself is being safe. So, ibig sabihin nito, pag yung company mo hindi niya pinatupad, bibigyan ka lang ng memo pero wala kang penalties. That's the
Tama.
most that they can do. Diba?
Tama.
Wala siyang penalties eh.
Correct.
So, pero let's still drive proper health protocols and vaccination to our employees. Kasi end of day, having herd immunity is the best way to fight this pandemic. Okay.
Ayan, meron tayo actually na comment from Sir June Espacio. Sabi niya, there is a move on Congress to defer the IATF directive. The other day, Yusek Kukweko in our convention was asked to clarify. She was non-committal on the issue of IATF. However, she emphasized no termination. Somehow, she touched on floating status for those who refused to be vaccinated, but she did not elaborate. Ayan. So, ang pinaka-importante po dito guys, mga HR, wag po kayo magte-terminate pag hindi po kayo pag hindi pa ganun ka-clear o kung ano pa man, wag po kayo magte-terminate. This is a very trying time for all of us. The government is trying to achieve herd immunity, and of course, they would create steps to ensure na makuha natin yung herd immunity na yon. So, ang pinaka-importante tayo bilang HR, wag muna tayo magte-terminate. Kung ayaw ng employee, it's their right to refuse vaccination. That's their, sabi nga sa US, di ba, it's my body, it's my right. So, we also have to make sure that we honor that. Katawan nila yun eh. Pag nagkaroon ng mga side effects dyan, hindi naman tayo yung mahihirapan, di ba? Okay, sabi ng isa nating member, HR role is to give clarity. Let's clarify with the source, the authors, and if anyone who does not agree, file a case or petition sa court so that the court can decide. Ayan po. So yun lang ako, ang ano ko lang naman dyan, ang stand ko palagi dyan is talk to the employees and try to come up. Whenever all of these rulings are unclear, talk to your employees and come up with a way that's win-win for all of us. Lahat naman yan unclear eh. Even our labor code, if you would go through the whole labor code, you will see that there are gray areas there. That is where HR policies, HR procedures come in. Think of a way that's win-win for all of for both parties para kumbaga mairaos na ating sitwasyon. We also have to keep in mind, and our resource speaker actually called my attention to this. Si PEZA ay nagre-require ng 100% back to office na ng mga employees. Now, before anyone's complaints na bakit si PEZA nagre-require, tandaan po natin may mga restrictions po si PEZA. Oo, may mga exceptions po si PEZA. Like for example, hindi ka po pwedeng basta-basta maglabas ng mga equipment na pag ang company nyo is within PEZA zone, yun nga mga pag lalabas ng asset, nag-offer lang ng flexibility si PEZA niya nung kasagsagan ng pandemic, but right now they are requiring, they have issued a notification about this na dapat naka 100% back to the office na ang inyong mga empleyado, but you still have to maintain social distancing. So may mga kailangan din tayong i-take into consideration na iba pang mga batas, iba pang mga announcements in relation to the IATF joint memorandum. So since wala naman mga penalties, talk to your employees, come up with a way that's win-win for both parties para at least alam nyo kung ano ba yung mga options niyo. But definitely, do not terminate your employees. Okay? Yan.
So, since pag-uusapan naman natin ng DOLE reaffirms to serve the Filipino labor force more because it's the 88th anniversary of DOLE. Mga ka-HR, mga ka-empleyado natin, the Department of Labor and Employment highlights its unwavering commitment to serve the workers, employers, and job seekers as it commemorates its 88th founding anniversary this coming December 8th. They had the theme DOLE at 88, tuloy-tuloy ang pagtupad sa serbisyong tapat. This year's celebration will be highlighted by week-long activities to honor the dedication and hard work of DOLE employees. So, congratulations, DOLE, on your 88th anniversary. Another updates from Dole would be the in because of the Dole anniversary, magkakaroon daw ang Dole ng anniversary hybrid job fairs. So, some 15,000 local and overseas employment opportunities are initially available to job seekers across the country in celebration of Dole's 88th founding anniversary. According to Secretary Bello, invited displaced workers, ito yung mga nawalan ng trabaho during the time of the pandemic, and mga new job seekers are invited to take advantage of more than 15,000 jobs available, both local and international, and ito ay within the participating employers across different regions and overseas. Meron daw 224 companies who are participating on the upcoming Dole Anniversary Hybrid Job Fair. So if you're looking for work or if you're displaced, please check on the Dole website for more information about the hybrid job fairs that they're offering. Who knows? You might you might have lose a job or a career, but Dolly will be able to find new opportunities for you. So that's it from my end for the Dolly updates.
Eto na, SSS to sell foreclosed assets. For me, I always look at the SSS site, which is published here, for available foreclosed assets for sale. Kasi usually, you might be able to buy them at below market prices. So I always tell people, bago kayo tumingin sa market, lalo na yung mga pre-sell na hindi mo alam kailan matatapos, minsan mas magandang i-consider ang mga properties na tapos na, and baka nakabenta siya sa isang mas murang halaga. Kasi it's really an investment for the future. I really do believe that, over time, it's always healthy for a person to invest in at least a home for yourself. Kasi working life natin is hanggang what, 60, 65 lang? And at the end of the day, mahirap naman tumira sa bahay na hindi atin. Maganda naman sana na meron tayong isang bahay na nakapangalan sa atin para sigurado kahit anong ilang taon na tayo, hindi tayo patatanggalin doon sa bahay na yun kasi sa atin po yan. So might as well, if you're gonna buy, please consider this. And at the very least, kahit na papaano, the real estate in the Philippines have increased in value. So it's one of the best ways for us to fight inflation, which is currently at around 4 to 6% per annum. Next. We would also like to remind everyone that SSS has opened several short-term short-term member loan condonation program. This happened almost last month ago. Ang mangyayari to, member borrowers with past due short-term accounts with short-term loans may apply for the condonation program, which only runs for 3 months from November 15 to February 14. Ano-ano yung mga short-term loans? This includes SSS salary loans, calamity loans, loan energy, yung SLERP, which is the Salary Loan Energy Renewal Program, emergency loan, and restructured loans under the loan restructuring program. Na if you apply in 2016 to 2019, be very careful. The rules are slightly different for this condonation program. When you apply for it and you receive the approval, you only have 30 days to pay either the full amount or 50% of your loan, which is loan principal plus interest, on a one-time payment. Hindi po pwede ang staggered payment. Hindi po pwede yung parang, o sige, ngayon may pera ako 13th month, kulang pa rin, so I'm gonna wait for my next cut-off. No, it has to be a one-time payment only within 30 days of the approval of the loan condonation program. Okay. Also very important, after you pay and you become eligible, you need to actually pay off the rest of your loan if it's installment in 6 equal amortizations. If you do not finish it within 6 months, a proportionate amount of your penalty, which was waived, will return back to your account. So a lot of people, for example, meron kaming case nag-apply for loan condonation. Nawala yung penalty, obviously, kasi yun naman talaga yung papa-waive mo, right? Tapos for some reason, nawala na yung penalty, lumiit na yung loan ko. Oh, nasaya siya. Pero hindi siya nagbayad, hindi niya natapos. Tapos within that certain period of time, bumalik yung penalty. It happens. And then sabi ko, bakit lumaki yung loan mo? Ano ba nangyari? Nag-loan ka ba uli? Hindi naman ako nag-loan. Wala naman ako natanggap na pera. After a while, we realized ito pala yung SSS loan penalties na napa-waive niya before, na bumalik lang kasi wala siyang binayaran sa loan condonation niya. So please, guys, please, if you're going to apply, take it seriously. Huwag kayong makiuso lang kasi meron tayong loan condonation program, mag-a-apply kayo, magpapa-approve kayo, tapos hindi na kayo magbabayad. Please lang, take it seriously. If you're gonna apply for it, pay for it on time. Because for many of our kababayans, the penalties is the one na ang usually pinakamalaki. We've had staff na 80 to 100,000 pesos yung total loan nila, and 50,000 to 80,000 of that is penalties alone. And the longer the loan is, the higher po ang babayaran ninyo because it is 1% per month ang penalty na dinadagdagan. Hindi nila masisingil yon, masisingil nila yan sa pension ninyo. Baka wala nang matira pagdating ng araw. Sayang naman lahat ng contribution ninyo na pinapahulog ninyo month in and month out. And then later on, makita mo sa pension mo, you're expecting a few 100,000. Pagtingin mo, bakit parang 50,000 na lang to or 30,000 na lang to? Magkano ba nahulog ko within the lifetime? You might be surprised to find out na lugi ka, na lahat ng contribution mo pala napunta lang sa pagbayad ng loan mo. Sayang naman. Please take it seriously. Loan condonation programs don't happen every year. Okay? The last time, sabi kasi may bagong presidente. Every time there's a new president, there is a loan condonation program. That is not true. It comes ever so often. Okay? So please take advantage of it, but do take it seriously kasi sayang talaga. And then I hope that also HR will remind the employees to help kasi hirap sila mag-apply for the loan condonation eh. Yan ang problema sa atin. Mabilis tayo mangutang, matagal tayo magbayad. Okay? So, sa atin din babalik yan. Next. SSS is also offering, so ito, pag-ibig. Go ahead, Rona.
Ayan. So, ang atin pong pag-ibig, ang paborito nating government agency, naku, proud na proud po sila dahil highest ever membership savings. Ngayon pong January to October 2021, members have saved up to 52.5 billion in pag-ibig. MP2 savings reached the 21 billion as of October. So, ito po ay record high for pag-ibig. I think it helped na talaga namang namulat ang ating mga empleyado sa kung ano ba ang advantage ng savings with pag-ibig. So not only regular savings yung dinideduct natin sa ating employees but also MP2. And a lot of employees have also started to request from their HR na i-increase ang kanilang share sa pag-ibig. Kaya naman talaga po proud na proud ang pag-ibig na ang laki po ng naging increase sa kanilang savings. Ayan. So yan po ay for the last 10 months breaking yet another record for the period and exceeding full year figures from before the pandemic. Kaya naman po tuloy-tuloy po ang pagbibigay ng pag-ibig ng kanila pong serbisyo. At syempre tayo naman bilang HR, tuloy-tuloy din naman po tayo sa pagpo-promote ng mga maaaring i-take advantage na benefits po and privileges mula kay pag-ibig. Ayan
So
po.
magtabi ng 13-month pay at ipasok kay pag-ibig.
Yes, kung kayo po ay wala namang paggagastusan na inyong 13th month, ang suggestion ko po sa inyo, MP2. 5 years po yan. Ako, napakagandang savings program po niyan. So invest po. Wag na po tayo masyado magpariban dahil hindi naman po masyadong lumalabas. Yan, MP2 nyo na lang po ilagay yan. Okay? At syempre po, pinapaalala din po ni Pag-ibig, hanggang December 31 po ang kanilang one more chance para sa kanilang special housing loan restructuring. So kung kayo po ay merong existing home loan po with Pag-ibig, and you would like to have it restructured, kayo po ay more than 3 months of missed payments na at ang account nyo hindi pa naman cancelled or foreclosed, pwede nyo pa pong i-apply yan para sa Special Housing Loan Restructuring Part 2 ni Pag-ibig. Para kayo po ay makapag-apply, punta lang po kayo sa inyo pong pinakamalapit na Pag-ibig branch para malaman nyo po kung ano yung mga kailangan nyo pong i-submit at i-fill out na form. Mawi-waive po ang penalties sa mga hindi nabayarang amortization, may iwasan nyo po ang foreclosure at cancellation ng inyong account, mas mahabang payment terms kung ano man po yung payment terms na kakayanin nyo, at maaari pa pong bumaba ang inyong monthly payment dahil hahaba nga po ang inyong payment terms. So hanggang December 31 lang po ito. Kaya take advantage na po. Malapit na po ang December 31. Ilang tumbling na lang. Magte-December 31 na. Kung hindi pa po kayo aware, next week ay ano na kagad, week na po ng December 8. Wala pong pasok ng December 8 ha. Special non-working. Ayan. At syempre po si PhilHealth, humahabol po para ipaalam sa inyo pong mga benepisyo bilang miyembro po ng PhilHealth. So pinapaalala po ni PhilHealth, meron po silang coverage para sa mga outpatient HIV/AIDS treatment, ay tinatawag nilang OHAT, up to 30,000 pesos po ito. Maaari po itong i-avail ng mga PhilHealth accredited HCIs na itinalaga ng HIV or AIDS treatment hubs ng ng DOH. Yan po. So ito pong PhilHealth coverage ay para sa mga outpatient HIV/AIDS treatment up to 30,000 pesos po yan. Para alam niyo po kung ano-ano po yung mga AIDS or HIV treatment hubs, punta lang po kayo sa website ng PhilHealth. Nandun po yung buong listahan. So kung kayo po ay isa po sa mga biktima ng AIDS or HIV, pwede niyo pong i-take advantage. Ito pong coverage ng PhilHealth. Ayan po. Ingat lang po mga ka-HR, pagdating po sa HIV at AIDS, yan po ay medical information covered by data privacy. Okay, at pinapaalala din po ni PhilHealth, huwag pong kalimutang mag-update ng records para hassle-free po ang pag-avail ng inyong mga benefits. Siguraduhin niyo pong updated ang inyong membership data record para po kayo ay makapag-update. Punta lang po kayo sa pinakamalapit na PhilHealth office at ibigay niyo po ang scan or ibigay niyo po yung mga documents niyo para ma-update yung records. Pwede rin naman po kayong mag-send ng email actioncenter@philhealth.gov.ph at siguraduhin po na ang subject ay mem update space your name, space, province, city, and region. Ayan po. Huwag kalimutang i-attach ang duly accomplished PMRF at malinaw na kopya ng kinakailangan documents. In fairness, ang Action Center at philhealth.gov.ph ay sumasagot sa email. So we have a new employee sa aming company. We applied for the PhilHealth number using the email address. Sumagot sila, nakuhaan namin without us having to drop by sa PhilHealth office. Nakuhaan namin ng PhilHealth number yung aming empleyado. So pro tip, pwede nyo pong isend dyan sa email address na yan. Tutulungan po nila kayong i-direct sa tamang office po para makakuha po kayo ng records or makakuha ng PhilHealth number para po sa inyong mga empleyado. Ayan po. Siguraduhin lang po na yung mga attachments mo ay malinaw para madali pong ma-process po lahat ng inyong mga pangangailangan. Pwede rin po kayong magbayad for our individual contributors. Pwede po kayong magbayad ng PhilHealth Premium sa GCash. Ito po ay makikita niyo po under po doon sa portal para sa mga individual contributors under MYEG. Okay? So po pwede po kayong magbayad via GCash. Reminder po, ito po ay para sa mga individual contributors. Pag kayo po ay covered employee, hindi po kasama pa ang GCash as one of the options. So, ang pinakamaganda po ay partner with banks para makapagbayad po kayo online with PhilHealth. Dapat sa mga sandaling to ay meron na po kayong mga partner banks who would help you in processing online payments kasi yun na po ang ginagawa ng ating mga government agencies ngayon. Online payments na po, even pag-ibig po, pwede nyo na po yung bayaran online. Kung hindi makahanap ng bangko, partner ng eGov, ang suggestion ko po sa inyo, recommendation ko po, Union Bank, napakadali po magbukas ng account, 5,000 pesos for SMEs. Meron na po kagad kayong payroll, bank account, at meron na kayong access kay BIR, PhilHealth, Pag-ibig. Pwede po kayo magbayad online. This is not a paid advertisement. Saka sakali po isipin nyo. Masaya lang po kami sa Union Bank dahil sila po yung aming ginagamit na banko right now with Uprush. Ayan. Back to you, Coach Darwin, para sa ating po mga sponsors.
So, word from our sponsors, El Puerto Marina Beach Resort and Vacation Club. El Puerto Marina has resorts and vacation club across Pangasinan, Boracay, and Coron, Palawan. If you are a member of the Philippines HR Group, just reach out to the FB page of El Puerto Marina Beach Resort and Vacation Club and inform them that you are a member of the Philippines HR Group and you are entitled to special discounts and privileges. Also, if your company is looking for a online certification program, our partnership with People Matters, BNext program, this is with People Matters Singapore and People Matters India. they are offering 25% off for all members of the Philippines HR Group, and they have certification programs for virtual recruiting, virtual performance management, and a whole lot more. A lot of Fortune 500 companies in the Asia Pacific region has already partnered with People Matter. So if your company is looking for a virtual HR certification program, just reach out to People Matters in FB or in their web page and inform them that you're a member of the Philippines HR Group. Also, if your company is a startup company or a small and medium-sized enterprise and you're looking for an HR management system, uh, we have partnership with PeopleForce. So with PeopleForce, it's a cloud-based HRM management system or HRM system that offers People Recruit. Ito yung with regards to recruitment, they have People Pulse, they have People HR, People Perform, and People Time. So this particular HR management system covers timekeeping, payroll, engagement, um, recruitment, and a whole lot more. If you are a member of the Philippines HR Group, just reach out to them at their FB page and website, People Force HRM or People Force, and inform them that you're a member of the Philippines HR Group. They would provide you or they would give you a 14-day free trial to be able to use their program. Also, um, with aside from that, our partnership with MaxiCare. So they have two new products ngayon. This is the Prima card, and this is for you and your loved ones. This is actually a postpaid health card. So they have MaxiCare Prima Silver, which is for individuals up to 59 years of age, and MaxiCare Prima Gold, which is actually for seniors 60 years above. So if you're a member of the Philippines HR Group, search for, just go to shop.maxicare.com.ph, and then for members of the Philippines HR Group, you'll have special discounts whenever you order a Prima Silver or Prima Gold card. This is you can actually use this as gifts or as additional benefits to your employees. And if you have any questions, please, we're reminding everyone, questions are, please course them to the main page of the Philippines HR Group. Nako, I'm sure napakaraming mga nagme-message individually sa lahat ng moderators, sa mentors, at sa coaches. Yung mga messages nyo po, napupunta po yan sa second inbox. Hindi po namin sila nababasa. Kung mabasa man namin sila sa second inbox, late na po. So, for us to be able to answer your questions, please post it at the main page of the Philippines HR Group at makakaasa po kayo sa abot ng aming makakaya, sasagutin po namin ang inyong mga katanungan. Also, we invite you to please join the LinkedIn group page of the Philippines HR Group. We're also in LinkedIn. We have a growing community in LinkedIn. And of course, if you're not a member of the Philippines HR Group in Facebook, we're currently at 262,000 and growing. So please join us. Now, for previous episodes of the HR Cafe, if you would like to have free training, ito yung mga naghahat mga free training dyan. Ako, napakarami kong nakikita post. Manood lamang po kayo ng mga previous episodes ng HR Cafe. Mapapanood nyo po yon sa FB page namin, the HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay, Iba Pa. Lahat po ng episodes from episode 1 up to ngayon, episode 71, nanodoon po at pwede nyo mapanood sa FB page ng HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay, Iba Pa. If you would like to be a sponsor of the HR Cafe in the Philippines HR Group, just reach out to any of the mentors, Mentors Tina, Mentor Shona, Mentor Burns, or yours truly. And you can also send me an email, darwinrivers@yahoo.com. Now, let's go to our topic, our free training program for today. This is about how to effectively mitigate and manage attrition. Bago natin i-introduce ang ating guest, ang honored guest speaker for today, Mentor Tina, Mentor Rona, nababataan nyo na ba na yung meron silang tinatawag na wave of attrition going on worldwide. It's a worldwide phenomenon na napakaraming tao ang nagre-resign ngayong mga panahon to, even
Yes.
after or during the pandemic.
The Great Resignation nga ang tawag nila. Yes.
Great
Oo,
resignation.
nangyayari to sa US. Actually, you would read of news na talagang nagwo-walk out on the day itself, or from dun mismo sa kanilang opisina, bigla na sila magpo-post ng sign na nakagaya, "We quit," tapos alis na sila. So nangyayari po ito sa Pilipinas. I don't think nararanasan pa natin ito right now. For me, I don't think nakakaroon tayo ng Great Resignation. Simply because even before na talaga marami naghahanap ng trabaho, and those who have their jobs, they know the importance of holding on to their job. Ang sa atin kasi meron tayong phenomenon ng 13th month, waiting for the 13th month. Kaya hindi natin nararanasan pa yung Great Resignation. But I am not sure what will happen January, February. We still have to see kung ano mangyayari. Kasi usually naman yan talaga after the 13th month, tsaka nagre-resign yung mga empleyado. But other parts of the globe, yes, the Great Resignation is happening. Hopefully, it's not something that will happen here in the Philippines after the 13th month. Ayan. Mentor Tina,
Mentor
ikaw, ano
Tina.
masasabi mo?
The Philippines has seasons of resignations. Usually that comes after a big payout. So for example, after 13th month pay or after performance bonuses, ayan na. So once na deposit mo na yan, magsisimula na magre-resign. And for me, from an employer perspective, sa akin, para lang yung jowa. Kung hindi para sa'yo, let them go. Right? Kasi parang
True.
the way we do it, parang parang sobrang distraught tayo pag may nag-resign kasi we think it is us. But sometimes din kasi it's not you. It's them. Right? So we have to look at it from a very healthy perspective. Like even for me as a manager, I'm always focused on culture. Meaning to say, I want my staff to see themselves as a team and as a family. So, pag may umalis, okay lang. Pero in a way, parang, bakit ka aalis sa iba kung okay naman dito? Right? So, I'm okay if you go back home or to go abroad or to work for somebody else way better. But if you're just looking for a change of environment, edi dito ka na. Pero B, sana naman, kahit na umalis, nag-resign, huwag magpanic. Yan ang problema kasi both employer-employee. Pagdating sa resignation, nagtatampuhan. Yung employee
Correct.
ayaw pumasok, yung employer may problema sa pagta-turnover, pinapahirapan mo pa. So it's like a relationship, 'di ba? It's not the relationship is important. How you conduct yourself while you're in a relationship is important. Pero please also be careful to leave gracefully. Kasi a
Correct.
lot of tao, pag hindi mo na love, 'di ba? Parang ang bastos ng dating. Aalis-alis, may gagawin sa'yo, they'll talk badly to you in social media. Later on, pag mag-isa na siya, wala nang pera, yun na, magmamakaawa, babalik daw. And they forget, you know, always leave gracefully for both employers and employees kasi yes, you might it on the heat of the moment, gagawin mo, magdadabog ka, magrereklamo ka, magpo-post ka sa social media, but people will remember what you have done. Always at work and in a relationship, conduct your departure in a way wherein pwede ka pang bumalik. Kasi malay mo talaga. Umalis ka, akala mo mas gwapo doon. Yung pala, hindi. Mas gwapo pala dito dahil bastos ka, dahil hindi maayos ang pag-alis mo, baka hindi ka na makabalik talaga. No matter how good your service was over the last 5, 10, 20 years, if bastos ang pag-alis mo, that is the moment that people will remember. So, always do not burn your bridges. Kahit na gusto mo nang mag-backstab, try not to backstab kasi don't forget, life is long. And at worst case scenario, kahit pangit yung kumpanya, I'm not saying pag illegal or abusive, that's different. But at the very least of the day, conduct yourself in a very professional manner. Kasi at least you have options. Options are healthy. 'Di ba?
Yes.
Coach D?
Agree.
Well, for me, tama nga kayo that here in the Philippines, we have different seasons of attrition. And it normally
Yes.
happens during a big payout. Unlike what's happening globally, that there is a phenomenon right now that tawag nilang the Great Attrition. Pero
Yes.
let's go to the local setting. Attrition, there are two kinds of attrition, and I'm sure our guest
Mm.
speaker will be able to discuss more about that. the good and the bad attrition. But for
Ah.
me, every attrition kasi impacts the organization one way or another. At ang nakikita ng employer lagi is whenever there's attrition, that's lost opportunity, that's
Oo.
cost to the company kasi syempre,
Mm.
training mo, nag-invest ka ng time, ng pera, ng lahat-lahat. And syempre, papalitan mo yung mga nawalan tao. So, malaki yung impact ng attrition.
Mm.
Now, ang speaker natin ngayon, pag-uusapan niya, ang topic niya is how to mitigate and manage attrition. So ladies and gentlemen, our speaker for the day is none other than the
Ah!
controversial moderator of the Philippines HR group, but one of my
Tao din
good
siya.
friends.
Mm.
Conde is an operations leader for 5 years and a project manager for more than 10 years with a proven track record of meeting goals, improving processes, leadership, managing schedules, resources, and risk. With a technical background, able to break down barriers and provide highly credible leadership to teams. He is also a certified HR professional. He's an ops person wearing an HR hat. Ladies and
Mm.
gentlemen, and our good friend, Mr. Pyke Conde.
Hi,
Hi
Pai.
everyone. Hi.
Finally. Finally have you in the HR cafe. We've been trying to get
Alright.
you in for many, many months.
I'm glad to be here.
To put a name
Our
to the
most
face.
controversial moderator, no?
Yes.
Bakit nga ba? Bakit controversial?
Kasi you say things straight out. Because in the
Yeah.
Philippines, everyone is so polite and politically
Mhm.
correct. But
Yeah.
sometimes it takes a brave person, to say the truth as it is. Minsan masakit. Minsan magagalit ka. Pero gusto mo ba yes man lang palagi? You need
Yeah.
a Pyke in any organization who will tell you, look guys, maybe it's not really what you say it is. There is another perspective to it. And to at least, 'di ba, there is a balance, check and balance in any organization. Kasi pag kunyari tayo-tayo lang, oo ka lang ng oo,
Mhm.
'di ba?
Takot
Paano ka
tayo
gagaling?
takot tayong makasakit ng damdamin. Ayan,
Yeah.
yan yung isa sa
Tough love
mga
yan si
actually,
Pyke eh. Tough
oo,
love.
tough love siya tough love.
Yeah.
Pyke, bago ka
Alright.
mag-start, may announcement pala si Mentor Rona about the
Yeah.
recent announcement from Dole. About the vaccine?
Actually, somebody commented it in our group chat. So si Dole, group chat sa comment section, not group chat. Si Dole actually, meron silang kaka-post lang right now as in 4:08 PM today doon sa kanilang website. Ang sabi niya, so this is for the website for Cordillera Administrative Region. Okay? Ang sabi niya, the no vaccine, no work policy has no legal basis. Yun yung title ng post. Don't worry guys, we have checked the URL. This is actually coming from dole.gov.ph. Ang sabi dito, if a company, yung mga covered establishment, in case the employer refuses to let the employee report to their workplace, DOLE will issue a compliance order directing the employer to allow the employee to report or be allowed to go to the workplace. And if the worker is still not allowed to report, then as far as DOLE is concerned, they are present and they should be paid. Okay, yun ang sabi ni DOLE. Okay, so i-require kayo ni DOLE to get your employee. Pag pinagbawalan nyo po at tumakbo sa kanila sa employee, magbibigay sila ng compliance order for you to let the employee report for work. Now, for me, that's actually better kasi if DOLE requires me, I now have a document proving that, kayo nagpumilit sa akin. So, hindi nyo pwedeng sabihin against IATF, etc., etc. Okay? Kasi sabi dito, it is a violation of the freedom of choice of our countrymen as guaranteed by the Constitution. Now, although this is in the website of DOLE, I would always caution against taking this as a law. Okay? Ilang beses na tayo, mga HR, ilang beses na tayo napaso sa mga ganito. I would caution as using this as basis for saying kagad na no work, no vaccine, etc., etc. Hindi, the employer cannot say na hindi ako po pwedeng pumasok tapos gagamitin ito as basis. Okay? Be careful with using this as a basis. Bakit? This is, okay, more of a personal view. Okay, there is no labor advisory, there is no department order actually mandating this one or making this as a basis. Be careful. Okay? This is more of just an announcement. Okay, and if you would notice, even special non-working holidays and non-working days and working days, meron niyang palaging kasamang labor advisory, department order, Republic Act, presidential proclamation, etc., etc. Palaging may kasama. This one has just been posted in their page, in their website. So be careful with using this as the basis kasi madaling i-deny, madaling matanggal, madaling kontrahen ng isang official na announcement such as an IATF joint memorandum because the joint memorandum is an actual signed document. Okay, so be careful with this one. There are some points here that are actually correct and will really give you a reason to think about it. It also made use of Republic Act number 11525, which mentioned that vaccine cards cannot be considered as additional requirement for employment purposes. So ang sinasabi ko lang sa inyo, I'm not saying that this is incorrect. I am saying that be careful if you are going to use this as basis. Again, I would still go back to what I mentioned earlier. Talk to your employees, come up with something that's a win-win for both of you. Okay, that's the best way given that this is a very, very gray area.
But
And there's no penalty
take
mentioned.
a look ha.
No
Take
penalty
a look
mentioned at
at the dates. Kasi there are differences in dates. Do not use this as a basis kasi mapapahiya kayo when there are date talaga. Okay? Because I can, yeah. So just be careful. Please use the IATF for me. Ah. So,
Oo.
yun muna
Agree,
tayo.
agree.
Let's give the
So
floor to Pyke.
we'll give the floor to Pike. That
Yep.
your topic for the learning event for today is about managing and mitigating attrition. So we'll give you the floor, and you have more than 100 people watching you right now. So let's start the learning.
Okay. Yeah. So before I start with my points of discussion, no, I'd like to add something to the previous conversation na dinidiscuss ni Tina kanina about attrition. And I'd like to add also that to me, there's no such thing as company loyalty because employees are loyal to their goals, not to the company. Their loyalty is with their goals and not with the company. So even if the company is doing great, kahit wala namang mali yung nagagawa yung company, but um, if the employee realizes that his goals will not materialize in that company, then that's also one of the reasons why they have to leave. You know. Um, anyway, but that's just me, and I'd be glad to be proven wrong. Pero now on to my points. Well, for me, as somebody who have led several people in the past, um, one of the first things that you have to do is to ensure that you are hiring the right people. No, finding the right candidate is the first measure that you can take to control employee attrition. And don't just look for the right skill and the domain knowledge that the person can bring to the table, but also assess yung behavior niya and of course yung goals din niya. And while doing that, you can also be open about the organization's culture. So it gives the candidate a chance to judge if your company is suitable for him, and the company can do the same as well. Give me a second. Okay. Now, the second point is poor induction. This is where the employer officially admits the employee to the organization. So it is one of the most common reasons why a new employee leaves the organization. So this is the part where the new employee will perceive his future based. I mean, the future that he has with the company.
Okay, mukhang naputol po ang ating mukhang na-disconnect po ang ating speaker.
I'm also taking
Okay.
down notes.
Mm-mm.
Kasi tama yung sinabi
Mm-mm.
ni Pike about hire the right people. In the
Correct, correct.
interview, if you're a seasoned interview, you can actually find out sino yung parang laging tumatalon.
Oo.
There is that, diba? A lot of people are asking parang do interviewers take into consideration the tenure that you have on your previous jobs. And I always tell people I care about, as much as possible, yes, pwede kang tumalon if you're not satisfied, but wag masyado kasi there comes a point talaga that you become a job jumper, para kang paru-paro na tumatakbo from one to the other, and it's not a good reflection of who you should be. So tama yung sinabi ni Pike na number one, hire the right people. So, back to you, Pike. I'm taking down notes.
Okay, I got disconnected so hindi ko alam kung saan ako natigil, but I was discussing poor induction. So I'll just have to repeat my statement that this is usually um, for new employees. So it's one of the most common reasons why a new employee leaves the organization. So this is where he perceives what his future will be in the company. And now for the third is, well, offer equitable and modest salaries. So let's face it, we're not just working to survive, but we're working to earn and be able to save up. No, so you don't have to be the highest paying employer, but at least be at par um, with the market. So um, um, ayun, ayun, so let's not shortchange our employees is what I want to say. Okay. Then number four is find out. So so for me, exit doing exit interviews for resigning employees, it's something that's too late. I mean, I don't think it will help the situation, but do it while they are still with the company. Conduct meetings where you get to do some temperature checks or to find out some pain points from the employees. I mean, when I say pain points, um, something that prevents them from doing their jobs the right way. And the next and the most common I could say is appoint the right leadership. So leadership can have a large impact on the experiences uh, um, that employees have. So if they feel that their managers support them and offer flexibility, then they may want to continue their tenures. So appoint supervisors that can develop meaningful connections with the associates and make a positive impact to the company. So the next is appreciate good work to encourage them to stay longer. So, employees come every day and contribute towards the business, and that's the reason why they need to be constantly motivated. So, managers who value their team members have much better performance results than those who don't. So, a mere thank you for a simple task that was completed brilliantly can boost the morale of the employees. So, um, if you want to express your appreciation to the employee, it would be help if you can express Why? I mean, sa akin kasi, if you just say, good job, good job, good job, it, to me, it numbs me up. But if you can say it like, good job with the project that you did, yet you were able to complete yesterday, the clients were happy. So be specific when you express your appreciation. And for the types of attrition that companies have, well, we have voluntary, involuntary. Voluntary are the ones who resign, no, and involuntary are the ones who are dismissed from the company. And the third is internal attrition, which means somebody was promoted and was moved to another department. And the fourth is retirement. So, okay, I'm done. Darwin, anything, Rona, Tina, anything that you'd like to add?
Ayan. Okay.
Pike, I would like to ask with regards to attrition, 'di ba? A lot of the people who leave in the Philippine labor settings,
Mhm.
umaalis sila kasi nagtampo.
Yeah.
Nagtampo, right? Kasi syempre everybody has feelings, and the
Mhm.
biggest problems of workers sometimes is that they feel that their line manager stepped on their feelings. Lalo na, for
Yeah.
example, if they made a mistake or they were negligent, napagalitan sila. Kahit na, for example, it's one-on-one, they
Mhm.
feel that their feelings were hurt kasi parang natamaan sila. They took it personally. So given in the Philippines, in other countries, it's a bit different. People are less emotional. But here in the
Mhm.
Philippines, people are more emotional. And
Yeah.
given your style, like how do managers have that balance? Kasi you're not there to babysit your employees, hindi ba? Like it's not a
Yeah.
daycare.
Yeah.
But if you don't say, if you try to word it in such a way, you might act too much naman of what do you call it? Parang pushover manager,
Mhm.
'di ba? And
Well,
dami yung
yeah.
pasaway. How do you
Yeah.
balance that?
Well, kasi ano eh, syempre if it's um a lot of time there are a lot of times where um kasi ang nakikita ko kasi I'm very different when you're directly working with me, no? Kasi sa Philippine HR group kasi I'm seen as a tough guy kasi I usually flag those who are those comments that are below the belt. Kaya lang
Mm,
kasi when you're with me most of the time, I still do flag your mistakes, pero dahil nga I'm not just direct with the things that you don't want to hear, but
mm,
I'm also direct with um, the things that you want to hear. So,
mm,
halimbawa, if you did a good job, then I'm just as vocal. So,
mm,
ayun. So, tsaka ano naman eh, whenever somebody new joins the team, I make it clear na if there's anything wrong, I'll say it to your face. And if you did something great, I'll say it to your face too.
mm.
So, kumbaga, parang hindi lang yung mga ayaw mong madinig ang mga galing sa akin. I mean, that's how
So
you want to
parang
find
bumalik tayo din sa hiring the
it.
right people, right? Kasi when
Yeah.
you're making hires, you want people who are at least, no matter what the role is, who are
Mhm.
professionals.
Yeah.
Yung hindi pag kunyari dahil may nasaktan lang sila,
Uh-huh.
magwawala na sa loob ng trabaho, hindi na
Right.
papasok. And if you have that type of employee sa simula pa lang during probationary period,
Mhm.
then already be careful to take note of that. Kasi you don't want people walking out every time their feelings get hurt. But at
Yeah.
the same time, hiring the right people is also from the managers, which you've mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
Now, you don't also want managers naman na because managers sila nagpa-power trip. You want managers na nakakapag-balance pa rin. Kung mali,
Mhm.
mali. Kung tama, tama. Pero, 'di ba, to also keep attrition in mind kasi pag nag-walk out talaga, sino ba mag-hire? Si manager o si HR?
HR.
Si HR, 'di ba? Parang
Yeah.
you want managers who don't want to give you problems. And if they are giving you a lot of problems with attrition, chances are maybe they are the problem and they should be, antag mo, external attrition ba yun?
Huh?
Yung tatanggalin ng kumpanya.
Involuntary.
involuntary,
Involuntary.
Yeah.
involuntary attrition. Correct.
Ako, ang lagi ko sinasabi, yung mga applicants, especially those who are watching us na mga fresh graduates, they're looking for their job. Guys, before you apply, like, isipin nyo muna kung ano yung importante sa inyo. If you don't know what your values are and you just apply just for the sake of applying kasi kailangan ko ng trabaho, yes, we get that. That's the reason why you're applying for a job. We get that. But tingnan nyo rin, ano ba yung mga importante sa inyo? Kasi sometimes, because we are so want to have salary na kagad kasi marami akong gagastusin, apply lang tayo ng apply without taking into consideration, ano ba tong company na to? Is this a company that I would like to work with? What are the values of this company? Ano ba ang mga services na pinoprovide nila? Research, guys, research. Everything is in the tip of your hands. Halos lahat ng Pilipino ay may mobile phone. Halos lahat ng Pilipino ay may access to data. Make sure that you do your research first before you apply. We understand that you want a job, but make sure that it's a job that you think you can talagang stay with for the significant period of time.
Mike, there's a good question here from Fernandez Jomil. He says, I'm new in the field. Parehos po ba ang attrition and turnover? Ganda ng tanong, no? New in the field.
Yeah. Oo nga eh.
Sure ka ba, Jomil, na new in the field ka?
Well, turnover and attrition, I think they have similarities. I mean, sa akin, once again, I'd be glad to be proven wrong. Pero I see them as the same. Kasi para sa akin kasi, basing on the true meaning of the word attrition is somebody who leaves the company. Yeah.
I agree. It's for me as an HR, it's the same, attrition and turnover. Pareho lang sila. It's the amount of people leaving versus the amount of people staying within your company. So I would say that it's the same.
There is a small difference with regards to that. Pag turnover is there is somebody to turn over. Okay, so for example, if you're an HR manager and you leave, then you are looking for a replacement. Attrition does not necessarily mean that role will be replaced. There is a possibility minsan na pag umalis, wala na yung tao na yun, and then the company just adjusts na lang. So there is a slight, and then retention is the ability of the company to keep
retain,
it within, to retain.
Yeah. So before the question was mentioned kanina, since you mentioned applicants, so just remember kasi na sa trabaho, okay lang magalit, okay lang mapagalitan, basta walang bastusan. Yeah. Kasi halimbawa ikaw may pinagawa sa iyo, mali ang ginawa mo, sinabihan ka na ilang beses. Okay lang na mapagalitan ka. Pero ang hindi acceptable kasi is when you already attack the character of the person, no? Ano ba sinabi? Boba ka kasi. Yun ang foul sa akin, no? Pero kung sinabi sa iyo naman is ilang beses ka na sinabihan, ano ba ang problema? So yung gano'n, I mean sa akin it's normal. Normal na mapagalitan ka and magalit ka. There are meetings that I have attended na may nagtatalo as if nag-aaway, pero after the meeting, kita mo nagyoyosi sa labas. Pareho, sabay silang dalawa. Kasi it's just work.
True. Yung mga boss ko dati, pag pinagalitan ako, bonggang-bongga. Well, they're foreigners, so pag nagalit sila, bongga talaga. But after the galit part, pag kunwari, tapos na yon, okay na ulit kami, magbibiruan na. Kasi alam namin pareho na nagagalit siya kasi meron siya ine-expect na hindi mo nagagawa. Pero after that, wala na. Ayan. And I think it's one of the things that Filipinos have to really develop within themselves. Yung ability to compartmentalize. Kasi dinadala natin. So pag napagalitan, buong araw na yun, dinadala natin, kahit na kumbaga yung boss mo naka-move on na, ikaw hindi, ang sama-sama pa rin ang loob ko. And it's one of the things that we have to really develop. yung ability na ano yun. Tapos na yung episode na yun, dito na tayo. Ayan. So
Yes.
si Zeus Penata mentioned, there are some employees resigning na ang reasons ay value. Some employees are saying why when I'm resigning, dun lang na-appreciate. What can you say about this, Pyke?
Ako meron akong comment dyan.
Sige
Oh, good.
lang, go coach.
Kasi there are two types of philosophies at work. The first type is your manager is not responsible for your happiness. Your manager is responsible for you to be productive and for the company to earn revenue to pay
For
for your
everyone.
benefit. So basically, yung pagiging sensitive mo pag napapagalitan ka, hindi responsible si manager mo doon. Kasi basically tinutuwid niya yung mga dapat ituwid sa iyo. And some people in some countries, they frame that as critical, or kumbaga they frame it as providing you with inputs or suggestions on how to improve your work. Pero let's go back to hindi responsible si manager kung magiging masaya ka sa trabaho mo. Kasi responsibilidad mo yon, di ba? The other second philosophy about it is that managers are responsible for the well-being of the employees. Ito yung good side naman na kailangan sensitive and understanding si manager doon sa emotional and mental well-being of the employee, because there is this philosophy na nagsasabi na if the employees are highly appreciated, if the employees are of course they're at their peak of their mental health, mas magiging productive sila. Ako, I would like to go to the middle. Kung ano lang yung tama na dapat binibigay sa mga empleyado. I mean, understand that the reason why you're working is because you are you're not only providing your services to the company, but also you're earning experiences and you're earning maturity. Now, if you do not like the situation that you have in that particular management or that particular company, you have three options. One is talk to your leader, have a discussion, how you can improve your relationship. Two is adapt to the situation. 'Di ba? Learn to adapt to whatever your manager or the company would tell you. And third is leave the organization. You're not a tree, 'di ba? Hindi ka puno. Pwede kang mag-transfer ng ibang organization. But ako, I have a bias dun sa sinasabi ng most leaders that yes, we may not be responsible for the happiness of our people, but naging empleyado ka rin. One way or another, naging empleyado ka din. Hindi ka COO or child of the owner, 'di ba? So understand that meron talaga mga pinagdadaanan si employee at kailangan natin. And it's multi-generation yan, iba-iba yung thinking. 'Di ba, Rona, Pike?
Yeah.
Yung
True.
mga older people, yung mga maybe understanding. But the younger generations are a bit sensitive. And I
That,
think it's really more
that,
of how can we handle their sensitivity and put into a perspective na may advantageous para sa culture ng company.
Tama yung sinabi ni Coach Dar. Adding to that, sabi ko, I'm actually more of tough love then, right? I don't think that it is the responsibility of the manager to make people happy because you're paying people for a job. But if you are too much of it is still your consequence. Na you will have to fix, you will still have to be the one to hire new people to replace the ones who leave you. 'Di ba? So you can be yours, parang it's the same way as parang you can be yourself, right? Pero hindi mo matanggal yung consequences of you being yourself. So for example, if you are a jerk or if you're a bitch or if you're lagi kang nagagalit, if you're hot-tempered, may magtitiis sa'yo. But at the same time, pag may umalis, hindi na kasalanan ng umalis. Kasalanan mo na yan. At ikaw rin ang mag-aayos ng problema mo. Because work still needs to be done. And if you're too tough on your people, and if they leave you, talo lahat. Talo sila, yes. Pero mas talo
Talo ka
ka.
din.
Mas talo ka. Hindi ka tang talo, pero mas talo ka. Kasi the bulk of the work, you have to finish. And honestly, no, kahit na napakagaling ng manager, he cannot do the work alone. You still need the cooperation of everybody else. So you can be tough, you can shout, you can be angry, pwede ka magtapon ng plato. Pero pag kunyari inalisan ka, huwag kang umiyak. 'Di ba? Kasi maraming tao umiiyak eh, nagrereklamo, "Ano ba naman 'to? Alis na naman 'to." Pero they forget to view their own self na baka meron something about the manager or about the company that is wrong. So tama yung sinabi ni Pike, find out, right? Pero Pike, paano yun? Kasi sabi mo find out, 'di ba? Pero a lot at the same time, you also want people to leave gracefully. How do you find out the real reason why they leave? Kasi nga, 'di ba sabi natin, wag sabihin yung sobrang
Mhm.
totoo.
Mhm.
Kasi baka sabihin mo na parang, "Ba't ayaw mo dito?" "Ayoko sa boss ko, eh." 'Di ba? Napakasungit niya,
Mhm.
ganyan. You might be burning bridges too early on, right? So
Mhm.
where do you draw the line in trying to find out, but at the same time, parang in such a way pa rin that the relationship is salvaged? Kasi siguro yung staff, sa sobrang
Mhm.
sakit doon sa exit interview magsalita, baka ayaw mo na rin pabalikin later on,
Uh-huh.
'di ba? Ma
Yeah.
Managers have feelings too.
Mhm.
How where you draw the line?
Yeah, kasi ako kasi hindi ko na, I mean, yung mga hindi ko na kasi pinapaabot sa resignation eh. Kasi I do regular talks with the people na, yun nga, I do temperature checks.
Yun.
Tinitingnan ko
Mm-mm.
yung mga pain points nila.
Hmm.
So, yeah, so, ikaw, kamusta ka? I mean, hindi lang trabaho nila yung kinakamusta ko. Pati sila. And I may sound tough sa group when I make
Nagdadagdag na ako.
comments, pero modesty aside, I got
Good
um,
feedback from your
the
subordinates.
most consistent feedback that I get is I'm very
Fair?
amiable.
Ah,
Yeah, kasi
amiable,
ano eh,
friendly.
kasi ano eh, prangka ako magsalita, pero that means madali rin akong kausap.
Hmm,
Mm-mm.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
May question tayo.
yeah.
May question tayo from Derek Faustino. What is your stand on counter offers to avoid or lessen attrition? I'm seeing it quite as a trend in my current company.
Oh no. Okay, kayo.
Ayan.
Pike?
Ako, ako,
What?
ako
Yeah,
personally,
si Roya.
ayan, unahan ko muna si Pike. Ako
Mm.
personally, I don't do counter offers. No, I don't.
Hmm.
Kasi para sa akin, if I am having this discussion during the exit, that means I did something wrong during the stay. Dapat naisip ko na to noon. So bakit ngayon pa lang ako mag-offer? Whatever is the reason why the person wanted to leave, even if I do a counter
Hmm.
offer, that reason will still pop up in the future. So if aalis, wala akong magagawa. Gusto na niyang umalis eh. I will not burn the bridge. I'm perfectly fine if an employee will leave. If hindi na sila masaya. Even if even do sa mga employees ko right now, I always tell them that if hindi na kayo masaya, you can leave. You can leave and I will not take that against you. Okay?
Hmm.
And most of the employees na mga umalis na, I still get to talk to them. I still get to eat out with them. May mga moments pa rin kami na nagkikita-kita kami. Kasi I don't treat resignation as something that's bad. So kung gusto umalis, umalis. But I won't do a counter offer.
Tama.
Okay? Because yung reason mo for leaving the company, that will still be there even if I do a counter offer. So yun.
Pike?
So ako yun yung stand ko.
Dar.
Ako from my end, siguro two things. Most of the time, I would not do counter offer mainly because it has been proven by studies that 80% of the time, people who were given a counter offer would still resign in the next 6 to 12 months.
Hmm.
Diba? So kahit na, kasi basically, a counter offer is a band-aid solution to the real problem of the employee. So unless you understand where the problem or the motivation is coming from, a counter offer would not be that effective.
True.
That's why I really don't suggest counter offer. The 20% that I do counter offer is if the impact of the person leaving to the company is detrimental
Mm.
to the business.
Mm.
Because
Significantly detrimental, significantly
significantly
detrimental.
detrimental to the business. I've had I had experience that kasi 'di ba I handle a global team, and sometimes there is a case where in one of the countries that I handle, one of my directors, one of the senior leaders in that particular area is leaving, and there is an upcoming big project to be launched, and there's no one capable of supporting that launch, and I need and sometimes we need to I know we need to use our chips and bargain for a counter offer just to make sure that there's no significant hit for the company. At kung umalis siya, at least natapos na yung project na
Ah.
yun, or 'di ba? At least natapos na naitawid na namin. So, but 80% of the time I won't do counter offer because you're not really solving the main issue of the employee. Bago pa lang niya naisip 'yon na nag-a-ask siya ng counter offer, marami pa siyang inisip. Marami pang reasons ang nag-motivate sa kanya para magkaroon ng decision to resign. And also, let's not forget a very important fact. Counter offer is a can build a culture
Mm.
negatively in an organization. Pag nalaman ng iba na, ay, nag-resign si
Uh,
counter offer, isa-isa na
Nag-create ka
yung
ng
mag-resign
president.
kasi
Ng president.
dahil may mga taong gusto magpataas ng sweldo, it will be a vicious cycle and you would not be able to support it. So make wise decisions. To my fellow HR leaders, make wise decisions whenever you're faced into making a counter offer or not. But most of the time, I would not suggest a counter
Oo.
offer.
Kaya ako din sinabi na significantly detrimental para mag-counter offer ka. Kasi when you do a counter offer, you also have to take into consideration the fact na it could be something na would, alam mo yun, magiging negative to those employees who are with your company, who are staying with your company, who are going through kung ano man yung mga mahirap na mga obstacles or anything within your company. They're not asking for anything, and then you're going to do a counter offer for someone just because they are resigning. So pwede nilang sabihin nyo na, ay, ba't ganon? And it could demotivate a whole lot of your employees, and they could leave. So it would now be a question of 1:3 people leaving. Anong mas okay sa'yo? And now you have to do another set of counter offers naman, di ba? So it's
Yeah.
an ending cycle. Yes, Pyke.
Sa akin naman, as an employee, kasi I was never put in a position where I have to offer a counter offer, no? Pero ako, as an employee, if I'm given a counter offer just to stop me from resigning, I'm likely not to accept it kasi kung deserve ko yung amount na yon, it's something that they should have given before I got to the decision na mag-resign.
Sa
True.
akin, resignation is similar to a breakup in a relationship. Sobrang for me, it's probably the closest thing. If a person breaks up with you, they've already thought about it. They've asked their friends, their relatives on what will happen if they resigned. And there are problems in staying with your company. There is a reason on why they want to leave the company. Sometimes it's not a personal reason. Maybe sometimes baka they believe they are worth more, diba? But there is still a very good reason, and that reason does not change
True.
because you just gave a counter offer. As you've listened to what Coach Darwin was saying, companies do often use counter offers as a way to tide themselves over in a very critical time. So you have to look at it from a value perspective. Kasi sabi nga nila, if you're with somebody, you might not be able to find the one. Ulitin ko ha, pag kunyari, nandun ka pa sa kumpanyang yan, that's time away from the company, the newer company we're in, probably better suited to your needs. Yung the one for you, right? So you have to look at it sana na bago kayong mag-resign, pag-isipan na muna ninyo. Because it also doesn't look good na pupunta ka mag-resign tapos bibigyan ka na mas mataas sa sweldo tapos parang, sige na nga, sige babawiin ko. It's not good. It's not a good look for you from the boss's perspective kasi isipin nila parang pera-pera lang. It's also not good from a colleague's perspective because everyone will know. Everyone's a marites.
Mhm.
True.
Everybody will know you were given a counter offer, so that's why you resign, right?
True.
If you
Yeah.
want to resign, do feelers. Do feelers. Yung I'm not very happy. What do you think? Yung mga ganun. Mahirap kasi pag meron ka ng final letter eh. Pag binigay mo
Mhm.
na yun eh. 'Di ba? And
True.
everybody will remember that letter pag bigay mo. 'Di ba? So you have to be very careful. For those offering counter offers, sa akin lang, tama yung sinabi ni Pike, do temperature checks. If you think the person's worth it, offer it before they resign. Don't do it after. And then tama din si Rona, once na nag-resign, this is the best you can offer, eh mas malaki yung sa kabila, wag mo nang habulin. 'Di ba? Kasi it's not the company is more than a person, it is everybody else in the company and you have to look at it na pag ginawa mo 'yan, anong mangyayari sa mga natitira? You have to treat
Mhm.
everybody fair and lalong-lalo na these are the people who will still remain in your company. We have a question kay Mary from Mary Huelva. Ang ganda ng tanong niya. Kasi very common to. How to handle po employees who would like to resign immediately without rendering due to health reason. Nagdagdag, I paraphrase it a little
Meron
bit
naman,
ha.
meron naman.
Mhm.
Paraphrase it a little bit. Is it okay that we require, kunyari, for health reason, is it okay that we require the resigning employee to provide medical certificate of not fit to work? Kasi she was able to provide the fit to work naman as part of her hiring requirements. And suddenly, ganun talaga yung reasons niya. Like, how do you handle employees who are resigning and want immediate for
Immediate.
A,
Well,
B, C, D, E, F,
uh,
G reasons? Ayan.
well, syempre, I enforce kung ano yung pinirmahan nila sa contract nila, no? So, so, ayun, so if the contract says 60 days, then it supersedes kung ano yung sinabi ng labor code na 30 days. Kaya nga sinabi ng labor code na at least 30 days. I'm just saying, I'm reiterating this kasi a lot of people in the group are under this impression na 30 days lang ang required ng DOLE. It's at least 30 days. So, kung ang nakalagay sa contract is 60 or 90 days, then yung nasa contract na masusunod. But anyway, to answer Tina's question, syempre kung immediate, syempre that will require justification, no? Kasi syempre, the notice period is the employer's right. So, kumbaga, right ng employee na mag-resign, pero the notice period that you agreed to when you signed up for the job is the employer's right. Kaya, it will require justification. So, if it's health, and a reason relating to health, then there has to be a written doctor's advice. And as
Yeah.
much as possible, it is from a doctor who is affiliated with the company and
Okay.
not just yung uncle niyang doktor.
Quincy Faye is asking, which is a very good question, sabi niya, some millennials last only for a short while in a job. Will this be considered as a job hopper? And can we comment a little bit then siguro about yung perceive nila na millennials daw don't last in jobs? Is that true?
Uh,
Muted, Coach Dar.
Muted ka, Dar. Nakamute ka pa. Nakamute ka pa.
Mute. Mm-mm.
I
Okay,
wouldn't
go.
agree that it's only millennials who would not last on the job. Kasi even during the times nung panahon natin, Rona, di ba? Marami rin namang mga hoppers eh. Fine, nung
Oo,
mga panahon
tama.
natin, marami rin mga hoppers. So it's not something that
Correct.
is purely in the generation of
Mm,
Gen Y ngayon, yung mga
yeah.
millennials ngayon. Hindi natin pwedeng sabihin, nako yung mga Gen Y, ano sila, hopper sila. Kasi even in every generation, there are significant numbers of people who moves from one company to another and because of a lot of reasons.
Mm,
Siguro the significant thing that makes this generation stand out is the ability of information.
ah,
Kasi, 'di ba? Ngayon, madali mong malaman saan company ba yung may magandang offer. Saan
mm,
company ba yung may magandang culture? Saan company
mm,
ba yung may magandang management? i-google na lang nila yan kung ano yung mga survey, yung mga yung mga comment and whatnot. So malalaman nila na, oh,
Hmm.
I'm in this organization, but this particular company offers more or
Hmm.
can be an opportunity for me to grow more. So would you vote that employee? What they have right now is the power of information in their hands.
So
So
parang
Agree.
I'd rather that you also use the power of information to put a good image about your company.
True.
And it's
so
really
parang
up to you how to do it.
dati
Mm-mm.
kasi sa mga oras ng mga tatay, nanay, lolo, lola natin, ang mga panliligaw for example is pupunta ka pa sa bahay. Magpapakilala pa yung magulang mo sa magulang niya kung gusto mo or ayaw mo. Eh ngayon may Tinder na. 'Di ba?
Ano na nga
May
ngayon
Tinder
Maraming
eh.
na.
options.
Ano yun mga ano?
Um,
Bumble ba?
Hindi,
Tinder,
alam
Bumble.
mo yung tagline ng sulit.com dati, hanap
Ah,
usap deal.
ah.
Ganon eh.
May
'Di ba?
gabi
So
pa
there's
na
more
halata yung age
information.
natin.
Alright,
Pero
following that, because we have, ang ganda ng sagot ni Coach D, how can we retain talented employees if that's the case? Kasi, as you've mentioned, there's free-flowing information. Everybody can hop, diba? If there's a better offer out there, what can you guys suggest? How do you retain talented employees?
strengthen your policies, strengthen your engagement, strengthen your brand.
Mhm.
Because the brand attracts people to you. The culture of your organization makes the people stay, and the policies and processes makes the people achieve whatever their career goals is in the organization.
And the
So
policies and procedures allow din also for you, the company, to really define sino ba yung talented. Ano muna yung
correct.
definition
Oo.
nyo ng
Mm.
talented. Kasi baka
Mm-mm.
naman effort kayo na effort, ang definition nyo pala ng talented employees and the whole workforce that you have. Well, that's not
Correct.
talented. Talented is kung
Mm-mm.
sino yung talagang mga high potential,
Mhm.
high performers. Those are the people that you would want to stay. And if you want them to stay, pinakaunang kailangan mo gawin, talk to them. Be able to communicate to them kasi ang kadalasang problema ng top management is that they expect people to stay but they don't know what makes their people stay. They ask other people. Common ito, alam mo yan, Mentor Tina, common
Mm.
ito sa Philippines HR group. How do we do Christmas party? What activity should we have? Tapos ang una nating tanong palagi, did you talk to your employees? Did you do a survey? Tapos ang
Mhm.
sagot, hindi pa, wala pa. So, yung mga ganyan, that's the first
Yeah.
step in retaining talents. Talk to them, get to know what they want, and really understand who they are as individuals. That is the best way for you. That's the first step for you when it comes to retaining talented
Yeah,
employees.
and
I'm
to
gonna
add
give
to
an
that,
example on that, Rona. Yung about talking to employees on what they really want. Kasi
Mhm.
balik tayo sa Christmas party since malapit na naman Christmas party ng mga employees. I have this discussion wherein sinasabi ng mga leaders gusto ng mga empleyado na magbigay ng physical na Christmas baskets haham sa mga empleyado kasi daw pag umuwi yung mga empleyado very proud sila na meron silang bit-bit na Christmas ham at Christmas basket. That's the opinion of the leaders. But when we had a survey to the employees, ayaw nila yun kasi karamihan sa
Mabigat.
kanila nagko-commute. So, mahirap magbitbit ng ham sa Christmas basket habang pauwi ka galing Christmas party. Papahirapan mo lang sila. Mas gusto nila
Magka-taxi.
is yung opportunity na they have a gift certificate and they can just get the Christmas basket and Christmas ham at any 7-Eleven or SM shopping stores that is near them, di ba? Kasi alalahanin natin na iba yung opinion ng leaders, iba opinion ng karamihan sa mga employees. Magkaiba sila ng thought process. So either do a survey, talk to your employees, kasi at the end of the day, magugulat kayo. Iba yung sinasabi ng leader minsan sa talagang gusto ng mga employees.
Right?
Yeah, and to add about dun sa retaining talents, retaining talented people, talk to them, ask them what they want to be someday in the company.
Mm.
Yeah, then
Mhm.
draft a career path sa kanya. So, magaling yung taong to. Keep it up. You might be a trainer someday. Yung mga ganun. Yung i-draw mo sa kanya, yung magiging future niya sa company, and let him finish that illustration.
I think like for us naman, it's a relationship. A
Mhm.
manager to the people that he or she works with, people forget it's really a relationship. It's not just a working relationship where it's performance based. But the relationship is you have to provide that comfort that the staff goes into your work knowing they have a ally in you. That may pag may
Correct.
problema sila, pwede ka nilang i-approach. Pag kunyari merong calamity, for example, they know they can depend on the line managers and the company. And I think a lot of people don't spend a lot of time communicating that. Tama yung sinabi ni Rona, because you have to constantly communicate. Kasi dito sa Pilipinas, parang kung anong magandang nangyari, makakalimutan na kinabukasan. You're only as good as your most recent Christmas basket, bonus, benefit, salary increase. After that, it takes around 6 months as nag-a-acclimate na. Parang as if nawala na yung benefit na binigay mo. Pero one thing Filipinos love is a good relationship with their boss. Totoo yun. Kasi a lot of people, they don't leave because of the people inside the company. Not just the
True.
boss, but the people
Mhm.
inside the company. So, if for example, nandun lang sila sa corner, then there is more incentive to leave because they leave nothing behind. 'Di ba? It's just money, money na lang. But if they're leaving close relationships they have with their colleagues because of the environment the company makes, right? Kahit na lumipat sila, pag lumipat sila, nakita naman nila, nako, ibang-iba pala yung environment dito sa bago kaysa sa luma. You might be surprised to see them reapplying back to your company because that culture, that relationship between colleagues is priceless and actively, consciously created by that company. Because a
Mhm.
lot of
True.
people are saying, ay, good company kasi lahat ng tao nagmamahalan. No. Usually, if the company nagmamahalan ng tao, there is always a person behind it creating that culture of love,
Correct.
either from the leaders, the owners, the HR managers, or from the line managers. You don't have love amongst yourself magically. It is a conscious effort, the day in, day out. Yun yung kultura talaga ng ginagawa ng mga leaders ng company. Kaya nagmamahala ng lahat. That's the reason why pag umalis yung isang, 'di ba, for example, isang owner or what, nasisira na yung dynamics of the company because this close relationship is made. It's earned. It does not come magically. Hindi pwede na parang walang effort si HR, walang effort yung mga bosses. Tapos lahat ng tao magbabarkada na. No. Lalo na sa trabaho, sobrang madaling mag-away kasi nagiinitan ng ulo. Pag may sumabog, yan na, ikaw may kasalanan, ikaw may kasalanan. It becomes very personal. But if you make the environment wonderful, you will find less people leaving because they love the people inside the company and they can never find it anywhere else. So alis
Agreed.
sila, okay lang. Pero pag umalis sila, babalik din agad sila kasi they cannot be themselves in their new jobs. Because
Mhm.
pera-pera lang. Iba na
Yeah.
naman, they will start again from scratch. Dati in sila dito, pagdating nila doon sa bago, oo nga, mataas ang sweldo, wala naman may gusto sa kanila.
Mhm.
Whereas dito, it's like a second family to them. And most people want to stay long in a company. 'Di ba? Tama
Mhm.
True.
naman si Coach D, hindi
Yeah.
naman lahat ng tao umaalis. Eh, baka siguro hindi nyo kasi masyado pinapansin. Ang mga
Yeah, kasi may
employees are
mga
KSP, eh, 'di
uh,
ba?
yeah, I mean, I've heard of companies na who make a community out of their company.
May kwento ako dyan. Meron ako gusto
Mm.
i-share sa inyo. I've worked with one company. It's an IT company. I'm not sure if I can still say the name of the company, but it's an IT company. I'm very, very proud of that company. Ang aming average, when I was there, the average tenure of employees, it's 7 years.
Hmm.
Okay? Pag 4 years at nag-resign ka, parang, ay, aga-aga pa nag-resign ka na. And usually, bumabalik sila. After a few months, bigla nila marirealize na, ay, ayoko sa labas. Balik na lang
Mm.
ako dito. It's not because we have a very high salary. We are actually, medyo mababa yung salary namin. Yung mga employees actually, yung nare-reklamo nila na parang baba na sweldo natin. And the time that I left the company, we were trying to address that. Pero they stay because of the relationship. Okay? And the relationship was not something that happened overnight. It was a concerted effort from the people before me. So the HR director before me, and it concerted effort of the management committee when I was there. So ano talaga to, effort kung effort talaga lahat. Everyone within that organization valued each other. Doesn't mean na mahal namin na isa't isa. Nag-aaway kami, sumasakit ang ulo ko minsan pa, nag-aaway-away, yung mga managers nag-aaway-away, yung rank and file nag-aaway-away. But it doesn't mean na, alam mo yun, mag-aalisan. Hindi. Ano tayo, dito pa rin tayo, will still, nauna pa akong umalis kasi sa kanila, will still stay here. They stayed until the time na magsara yung company dito sa Pilipinas. And even now, ito yung nakakatawa, this is how strong the culture was. Even now, we still get together every now and then. So katulad dyan, December, some are planning already yung kanilang mga Christmas party. We still keep in touch. Nagkakausap-usap pa rin. Whenever there are openings, sa unang ano kagad is, uy, post mo dun sa group chat natin, baka meron doon na interesado. Ganun pa din ang turingan. And that's because we were able, me, the people before me, the HR directors before me, they were all able to create a culture that values relationship, values speaking up. Naku, palagi mong maririnig yan. Palaging sasabihin ng mga managers na if something is wrong, if something does not sit right with you, speak up. Okay? Yung open communication, hindi lang ito word that is being shared around. It's actually something that's being practiced by everyone. Open communication. If something is not right, you can go to the highest position and you can tell that person, this is not something that is good for me, for my team, for the company. Pero ito yon. If you can speak up and if you think something is not right with you, ang unang hihingin sa'yo is, what's your suggestion? Yun naman yun din yung kapalit noon. You speak up, but hindi po pwedeng panay-complain lang. You also need to provide a suggestion. I'm very, very proud of that company. Hindi ko lang sure if pwede kong banggitin, pero I'm very happy with that company.
Well, there's a question from Melissa Banabana Lopina. Tama naman yung question niya. What can you say about a manager na newly hired whose part of the agenda is to replace the tenured staff by being unfair and mean to them so that he or she can start a new fresh management team wherein he can rule and does not care about attrition? Nako, kaya nga, pag may umalis ng dating boss, maraming sumusunod.
Yeah.
Coach Dar, Pyke, Rona?
Well, sa akin kasi it's very, sa akin no offense Melissa, pero that question is a bit one-sided to me, no? Kasi, confirmed ba yung agenda niya? And, syempre, if there's a new manager, usually ang mga pasaway yung mga tenured. Sinusubukan siyang kainin ng mga tenured na mga tao. Especially if those tenured employees were expecting na sila na yung magiging manager, and then the company decided to hire a manager from outside. So kaya hindi talaga, it's not something, so ganun yung sa akin, no? Pero if assuming na confirmed yan na may agenda siya to replace na ganyan, so have you spoken to HR about it? Sa akin kasi, if that is happening, that's what the HR people are there for.
So if there is evidence talaga that parang nagiging constructive dismissal na siya, then you can approach HR about it. But you have to make sure you're sure that it is really true. Kasi if you're going to make allegations against a new manager, baka it might backfire, right? That's Pyke's point.
Kasi I've been a manager din, kasi an externally hired manager, and nakikita ko yung mga tenure doon, parang they don't see you as their manager kasi for them bago ka lang.
Correct.
Bagong selta ka, kahit manager ka, nauna kami dito.
Tama. Fernandez Jomil is asking, paano po malessen ng attrition if yung real reason talaga is mababa yung sweldo? And the organization talaga, wala talagang kakayahan mag-increase ng sahod. Ano po kaya magandang strategy na maibigay nyo po? Kasi hirap po kasi mag-compete sa government, lalo na pagdating sa salary, which is kind of true. We are in the academe. And DepEd has always been a dream for every teacher, which is true. Malaki ang difference talaga ng private at public school. But this can be across other industries eh. What's your advice, coaches? Pagsahod ang katapat.
Siguro create different opportunities within the company na magkakaroon ng way si employee na maging available sa kanya yung mga ino-offer na loans ng government. 'Di ba? Kasi minsan ang napapansin ko, most small to medium sized companies hindi nila masyadong na-utilize or nakakascade sa mga employees sila na hey, meron mga available uh, financial loans si Pag-ibig, si SSS na po pwedeng magamit sa oras sa pangailangan, 'di ba? Or either you create a
Mm,
cooperative kasi school ka naman, 'di ba?
mm.
Create a cooperative where teachers can be able to be part owners of that cooperative, and whatever the revenue of that cooperative, if it's a cooperative na nagbebenta ng mga school supplies, goods, or whatnot, then the revenue will be equally divided to all the members of the cooperative.
Rona?
So it's really being creative eh.
Mm-mm. Agree ako with Coach Darwin. So about being creative. So if you cannot do anything about the basic salary, do something about the benefits and all the other accesses that you can provide your employees. Kasi minsan ang tinitingnan lang natin is the compensation. Nandun na tayo nakafocus. But you know, tama si Coach Dar eh. Hindi lang ito sa mga schools but this is also something that's happening with private organizations. The HR, the top management is not aware that there are a whole lot of benefit that they can offer and access to privileges that they can offer to their employees. Loan programs from SSS. Usually, pag sinabi nating SSS, ay iniisip lang salary loan, calamity loan. But SSS actually has different types of privileges. They have educational loan. They have loans for improving your renovation of houses. Meron silang tinatawag na paripasu. So if you actually undergo the intensive na training kay SSS, you would get to know all of this different privilege na hindi nila masyadong mina-market actually kasi medyo malaki-laki yung amount na involved. They even have loans for businesses. Merong mga ganun sa SSS. So, pag yung mga ganyan, get your employees to understand that. Get also your top management to understand that, okay, for the meantime, po pwede nating gawin ito that the basic salary is low. But if we want to be competitive, we have to bring it at least to the competitive point. Now, it's very easy for some HR to say na kaya kami inaalisan kasi mababa yung salary namin. Sa totoo lang, bigger companies, some multinational companies, mababa ang sweldo. Hindi alam ng iba yan, but they have mababang basic. Bakit nag-stay yung mga company sila? Number one, the branding was already in place. And number two, dun sila bumabawi sa benefits. Hindi doon sa basic. Sa benefits sila bumabawi. They have all these types of allowances. They have all these types of career and development. Things like that. Doon sila bumabawi. So kahit na sabihin natin minimum wage earner ka lang, pero other areas na pinoproblema mo is being taken care of the company. Daycare for your children, educational program, educational loan for your children. Okay na ako dun kasi hindi ko na po problemahin yan. I get to have my basic for all of my my basic needs lang talaga. And all the other things sagot na ni company. So yung mga ganun. I think it's one way that you can address kahit na mababa pa yung inyong basic.
Sa
What
akin,
about you? Oh yeah.
when people interview with me, okay, I always notice na it's not always about the salary. A big part of it, for example, is location. Location from their house, 'di ba? Lalo na if they're using public
True.
transport for isang sakay, dalawang sakay, tatlong sakay, the length of time they spend on commute is very important. Number two, stress levels. Oo nga, mataas ang sahod mo pag public school teacher, pero hello, 'di ba? Ilang estudyante mo, right? Whereas in
True.
private schools, for example, you have less students, less curriculum, less grading, less time. You don't have to worry too much about your job. You go in, you teach a subject, And then, yon. Number three, support of your employees, right? For example, for private school teachers. Private school teachers are not well paid, pero okay lang kasi you want to give back to it's a noble cause. Ang pinakamahirap yung mga private school parents. When private school parents harass you because they believe that you are not treating their children well, the school must do their part to be fair and reasonable. Hindi sila pwedeng laging parang they will sabihin na, oh, kasi this is our customer, so we will always be on the side of the parents. Sometimes the children are wrong. And if that's the case, you must offer support for private school. Kasi pag dun pa lang, you're forming a good branding for your own school, right? Number four, treat them fairly. Pagdating ng pandemya, huwag mo naman tanggalin, di ba? When in times of crisis, be always work in good faith. That's very important. Kasi if you're going to tell, if you're going to manage your school, yeah nga, syempre, parang sometimes you can't give them classes, but always do it in a very fair and systematic manner. Ang problema kasi sa many organizations or schools is may palakasan. Do your best to remove the palakasan because it is the palakasan that will make people leave and not the salary. Right? It's really not the salary. Number five, it's the other things. Like, for example, okay lang na mababasahod, pero pagdating naman ng problema, the school's there to support you. So you must offer support when there's calamities, when there's like accidents, pag may namatay, just give them something, diba? It's not like, I don't care. And lastly, you have to give your employees like the what do you call it? The attention. Attention is very important in the Philippines. Sobrang important. Very different from other countries. In other countries, I've worked in other countries, in Taiwan, Singapore, you don't pay attention to the employees. They work like robots. Here in the Philippines, they're like mungo seeds. Alam mo yung mungo? Yung munggo, like you're growing plants, but it's so sensitive. If you don't water, if you don't watch them every day, mamamatay yung seeds. That's one important thing in the Philippines talaga. You have to be very conscious. You have to give your employees attention. If you do not give your employees attention, they will leave you. Kasi they will feel they're not special, they will feel they're not valued, and no matter how much you give them, they will still leave you. Because doon sa iba may attention. Di ba may ganon? That's why a lot of women who are married to rich men are not happy because it's not the money. After the Hermes bags, after all of the nice cars, it's no longer the money but the attention. And okay lang na mahirap ka ng konti, pero nandiyan naman yung attention, dun ka naman masaya. Diba? Kaya nga sabi nga natin, people here are not materialistic, but you must give them attention. Okay, go.
Ayan. True. Meron tayo nag-comment do sa ating comment section. Sabi niya, my job is in school. My salary was not competitive. But one thing that made me stay is the educational benefits. Ito yung sinasabi natin kanina. It's not always about the salary. Ano yung benefits that you can provide? So no direct expense on the school. I didn't pay tuition fee for my 2 kids from junior prep to 4th year college. Ang laking katipiran nun. Scholarship does not actually impact on income of school. So yun yung mga options na po pwede mong kunin. But of course, it is also important that the company has a good salary structure. So maganda rin, it's something that as HR, lagi natin iaano sa top management natin na we need to have a good salary structure in place para alam natin kung saan tayo gagalaw when it comes to offers, increases, kung gusto talaga mag-counter offer, at least alam nyo kung saan kayo, ano yung hangganan ninyo para hindi nagkakaroon ng disparity when it comes to the salary. Ayan. Meron pa po tayong isang question dito.
Okay, last question.
Ayan. Is it possible to prevent counter offer and to lessen attrition? If the company has a capacity to increase salary of employees, is it possible to do it with percentage as to overall employees such as annual increase? Ayan. Medyo na-lost ako. Sige po. Sige, Coach Dar.
Is it possible to prevent counter offer to less attrition by doing salary increase? First, salary increase is not mandated by law here in the Philippines. So any increases in your basic pay is actually a company-initiated benefit. Is it possible? Yes, it will be dependent on the revenue of the company. Note though that most companies here in the Philippines follow what we call a bell curve. Hindi pa pwedeng, halimbawa, lahat kayo sa department nyo, lahat kayo ang evaluation nyo 4 and 5. Hindi automatic na 4 and 5 is may equivalent yon na increase. Kasi may bell curve lahat ng department. Ibig sabihin nun, kino-compare, nila-rank, ano yung top 10 percentage and lowest 20 percentage of the whole organization. At doon makikita yung median kung ano na talaga yung mabibigay na percentage of increase sa bawat department, sa bawat employee, depending on the evaluation. Uulitin ko, hindi porket nakakuha lahat ng nasa department nyo ng 5 or 4 is pare-pareho kayo ng increase. Kasi may fina-follow talagang process dyan. And for people in total rewards, they know there's a system na tinatawag na binibell curve lahat ng salary. Yung salary distortion, nangyayari lang yan kung hindi nyo pinaplan ng maigi yung mga increases ninyo.
True. Okay. Para sa mga HR natin, baka nalilito kayo ha. Bell curve is just one of the ways. Many
Correct,
ways.
one of the ways.
Oo. So baka yung iba dyan, hala, bell curve, kailangan namin i-implement yon. Kalma. One of the many ways yan, may iba-iba pong ways. Lagi nyo po i-research yan. Yan yung sinasabi natin as HR professionals, dapat updated tayo palagi sa mga different ways on handling performance management at yung kanilang mga salary increases. Last question lang po mga coaches and mentors. Meron kasi maganda ditong katanungan from one of our members. Sabi niya, how do you handle those employees na nagtitake advantage of a company with very accommodating bosses? So even the drivers can go directly to the president. The culture we have is open door policy wherein access to the higher management is never an issue. But it's a struggle for HR to change the culture. What do you think is the effective approach? I think this has more to do with na overturn kasi this happens. I had a very similar experience na dumediretso sa pinakataas. So kung ano ngayon yung sinabi ni HR, biglang nababaliwala. Kasi dumiretso na kay president and usually si president, si top manager, or kung sino man yung site director, masyadong mabait. So sige, pagbigyan. So si HR ngayon, hindi makapag-implement maigi dahil palaging na-overturn. Ano po ang masasuggest mo, Sir Pyke?
Well, sa akin, I think that's highly dependent kung ano yung nire-raise ng tao dun sa president. Kasi pwedeng, kasing yung HR is nag-implement without really ensuring the understanding of the employees. No? Kasi syempre, if you are to give a directive, syempre explain mo rin, kailangan mo rin ipaintindi sa kanila what the rationale is behind that new directive. Especially if it's an unpopular decision. Kasi if you just say na mula ngayon hindi na pwedeng ganito kasi ganyan-ganyan. So, the tendency of the employees is to go to somebody higher kasi hindi nila naintindihan kung ano yung in-implement mo eh. So, that's for me. No? So kasi if you're going to give a new memo or a new policy, explain mo rin bakit. You can bring up a history a history that caused that new directive to come up. Mga ganun.
Sa akin, seconding what Pyke has said, okay, it is very critical in the job of the HR is to gain allies and buy-in, right? In every organization, even in your own family, there is already a political hierarchy. You have to understand it exists and to manage yourself within that. If you already know there is this structure, okay, and lahat ng tao pumupunta doon sa boss, bakit hindi mo unahan yung boss bago ka tama yung sabi ni Pyke na bago ka gumawa ng isang directive, make sure you have the buy-in of the boss already. Kasi it becomes a problem if you issue a memo from the HR. It becomes less a problem if the memo is signed by the boss. So they will usually question if ikaw yung nag-sign, okay, from Pyke, from Tina. They will less question if the signature is from the chairman or the boss. Utos ni boss yan, anong gagawin ko? And the job of the HR is not to put itself in the front, but to put itself in the back, whispering in the ears of the boss. That from the time na when you implement a very difficult directive, pumayag na si boss. Huwag ka magpo-pull the trigger if hindi ka pa sigurado na susuportahan ka pa ng boss mo. Ang problema, pag yung boss, two-faced. Sa harapan niya, suportahan ta ka. Pag
Mhm.
nagawa mo na yung akala mong okay na sa kanya, pag dumating naman ng iba naman nakikwento, ikaw naman yung
Mhm.
masama. That's different. Okay, that's very different. If your boss is two-faced, then for me, I would precaution na baka you might want to consider working for a better boss who has more integrity. Because if two-faced lang siya with regards to directives like this, yung mga pinapromise-promise niya sa'yo, o sige, bigyan mo yan, o sige, taasan mo yan. Tapos later, pag sumabog na, iiwanan ka. Tapos ikaw yung masama. Then that really becomes a problem. Then I would suggest that you become part of the attrition and find a
True.
better boss who can actually parang say what you mean. And pag sinabi niya oo, oo, pag sinabi niya hindi, hindi. Another alternative, especially for family companies, yung mga large companies owned by a patriarch, kasi may mga anak yan eh. May mga second and third generation. A very easy way, wait for the patriarch to die. Kasi when that happens, the second generation, the third generation comes in. Wala na yung tatakbuhan. Ayan na. There's the chance. So if ever, balik tayo sa first advice ko, make allies. If hindi pwede dun kay patriarch boss, make allies dun sa second and third generation. Kasi at the end, or everyone in the company, be friends with everyone. Because at the end of the day, when there is a management shift, matira matibay. Parang Game of Thrones. Parang Game of Thrones lang yan. Don't ever think that life is a bed of roses. It's still a game. There's still some strategies involved. And don't always be the one in front. Kasi you can also get things from the back. All you need is ally. So, okay lang matahimik ka, hindi ka na masyadong kakita ng mga tao, pero make sure you have buy-ins from the people who matter. Para you won't be part of the attrition. Kasi if you don't, oh nga, HR manager ka, oh nga, operations manager ka. But if you don't have the support of the influencers inside your company, one day you will leave and you will not know why.
True.
Very important for
Agree.
attrition. Be careful of your own attrition as well. Not just the attrition of others, but also yourself. Kasi, lalo na sa HR, maraming kaaway yan. So,
Mhm.
always have
Yan
your
yung
back.
ano eh, yun yung tinatawag natin sa project management na project champions. Hindi po
Correct.
pwedeng si project manager lang. Dapat meron kang project champions who will rally for you. Kasi it's hard
Mm,
if you're the only one rallying for yourself. You need someone to rally for you. Ayan.
mm,
Agree.
Nakarelate ako dun Pero yun, tama naman si Mentor Tina. Pag kunwari nakikita mo na, ay, two-faced si boss. Okay, this is not something that works for me. Might as well find a better boss. It happens. Hindi natin pwede sabihin, hindi natin pwede itatuwa yung katotohanan na may mga boss talaga na hindi mo maintindihan. One moment, ito yung instruction. The next, pag andyan na, i-implement mo na biglang, huy, hindi yan ang sinabi ko. Okay,
oh,
so if
yun, di ba?
'di ba? If it's something
Email mo
that
na
keeps
lang.
happening, 'di ba? Or protect yourself by making sure that everything is documented. Ayan. Yan naman yung mga po pwede natin gawin diyan.
Ako, one of the things that kasi I've been into different companies and a lot of those companies implement what they call an open door policy. One
Mm.
of the gaps in having an open door policy is pag hindi nyo alam kung paano implement, ano ba yung definition ng open door policy? Hindi lang siya basta-basta na a rank and file can go directly to the president and
Mm.
magbe-vent out sa president. May mga protocols kasi yan. So what you need to do is, let's say you want to have an open door policy, gawan nyo ng policy statement talaga. Gawan nyo ng process. Ano ba yung definition ng open door policy? At ano yung para maintindihan ng mga tao na yes, open door policy kami, pero meron talagang protocols na sinusunod. Na for example, sige, you can talk to the president or to the manager, but the manager would always say that you work it with your manager
Mhm.
first or with your department head first. Hindi muna kami papasok dyan. Kasi kaya nga sila nag-assign ng mga department heads para sila yung mag-ayos ng problema. Kasi if all the problems will go directly to the CEO and the president, there's no use for supervisors and managers.
Mm.
Remember that. So might as well create a structured protocol in line with your open door policy. Karamihan sa mga may open door policy, walang ganyan eh. Sinasabi lang nila, uy, may open door policy kami. So ang dating sa mga tao ay po pwede pala ako pumunta kay kay owner ng kahit na anong issue ko sa buhay. Pero hindi ganoon dapat. So lagyan niyo siya ng definition, lagyan niyo siya ng structure para maintindihan ng mga tao ano ba yung papaano ba yung open door policy sa inyo. So that's it for today's episode. And Pyke, before we end the show, I would like to give you a chance to invite our audience, our listeners, and sa lahat ng patuloy na manonood ng replay na to. Ano ba yung ginagawa mo ngayon at paano ka ba nila mani-reach out or kung gusto nilang mag-follow sa iyo in social media?
Oh, well, I don't have a page. I just have my own profile, no? So feel free to send me a message or just to add me. I'm not as tough as I sound sa group. Yeah, so kumbaga, I'm just straightforward and I'm not really fond of sugarcoating and um, I would really avoid identifying nuances. So yeah, I'm really very friendly and I'm very approachable. The ones who have sent me a PM because of some problems that they have with work could attest to that. No, so ayun, and I'd like to thank Darwin, Rona, and Tina for having me here finally.
Yeah.
And yeah,
It's a pleasure to have you, Pyke. Thank you for
thank you.
always. Sa mga hindi nakakaalam, Pyke has been with us since as early as 2015 nung contact
14.
namin yung channel ng Philippine HR Group.
Uh,
So, isa yan sa mga sa mga halige ng group natin. So, huwag kayong iba lang talaga si Pyke, tough love yan. Kaya iba yung set of followers niya. Sa followers nila Rona, nila Ivy, nila Tina. So, yan. So, how about you, Mentor Tina? Anything that you would like to share or last words or anything that you would like to promote to our audiences and
Yeah.
listeners today?
Okay, first up, I'd like to say that reducing attrition should be a conscious management decision. If you do not have management after you and ikaw lang talaga ang HR manager na, sige, let's reduce attrition, it's not easy to be successful kasi people leave for many things, for many other things. You have to look at the core of the problem. A lot of people say it's because of compensation and benefits, but that's easily a cop out. People usually, yes, compensation is very important. But pumasok na sila sa'yo eh. Tumagal na sila sa'yo eh. Pag aalis sila sa'yo, it's most likely not because of compensation or benefits. It's because of something else. And in the Philippines, in the Philippine labor market, it's usually something about love and attention. As I mentioned, the Philippine labor market requires support, camaraderie, friendships. They want to have a second family. They spend a lot of time at work, right? So they think it's not just a work for them. It's not something they punch in, they punch out. You're not hiring robots. You're hiring people. And the best people who work in the Philippines are those who love the company, who love the people they're in, because the success of company is tied to everybody else. Okay lang sila. I mean, sila, pwede silang umalis, pwede silang lumipat ng company. Pero ang problema, it goes beyond that because they really love the people inside. Paano naman yung naiiwan? So instead of iwanan nila in another company kasi pare-pareho lang naman, sahod lang naman, might as well work together here. So it really is a very long effort. And for me lang sa akin is you have to be very careful as well. Then, balik sa number one talaga ni Pyke, hire the right people. Hire the right people. We're not gonna look at millennials or Gen Z, Gen X. Bakla, tomboy doesn't matter, right? Ang importante is you hire good people. You hire good people. You give them KPIs. And if they're really good, you treat them very well. You treat them well. Wag mo nang antayin na ma-offer sila, ma-temp sila sa ibang trabaho. You just treat them well, right? And that's a basic thing, right? Kasi at the end of the day, you cannot say you're a good person if you do not treat your colleagues, your subordinates very well. How to reduce attrition? It's easy. Basta you are conscious about it. Kasi a lot of people, sobrang busy, hindi na pinag-iisipan. How do I reduce attrition? When usually the answer is change yourself. It's not the office, it's not the salary, it's not the benefit. Chances are it's you. It's something in the company, that's why people are leaving. And unless you solve that problem, you will continue to have attrition. But if you really want to find out, you talk to the people, you change that part of it, then people will stay. You can grow. Be patient. Kasi okay lang yan eh. Meron pa namang few years eh. You grow, you create a culture over the next few. So there. Next, Rona.
Ako, first thing that I would like to leave our audience for today is number one, there's no such thing as zero attrition. If you're
Mm.
batting for zero attrition, it's a lost cause. There's no such thing as zero attrition. All companies have attrition. Now, when you say reducing attrition, you have to understand first what attrition is all about. There are attritions that are involuntary. There are attritions that are voluntary. Involuntary, try as you might, it would be hard to reduce that kasi it all depends on the financial status of the company, etc., etc. So involuntary, yan yung mga retrenchment, redundancy, and things like that. Okay, that's involuntary. The employee really was not, it's not their conscious effort to leave the company. What you should be looking at is the voluntary attrition. Okay, these are attritions coming from the conscious effort of the employee to leave the company. Okay. Now, when I say that you don't have to worry about involuntary attrition because you can't do anything about it, that's about 90% you can't do anything about it. 10% it might be a red flag that something is wrong with your hiring process. Tama yung sinabi ni Pyke kanina. You have to hire the right people. If you're not hiring the right people, you'll have a high tendency for involuntary attrition because you would keep on terminating for just causes. Kung ang dami mong tiniterminate for just causes, matigas ang ulo, poor performance, etc., look at your hiring process. Bakit ito nakalagpas sa inyong hiring process? So if it's voluntary attrition, yan, ang problema naman dyan ay engagement, retention, compensation and benefits, and things like that. But we also have the concept of acceptable or welcome attrition. Okay? Ano yung welcome attrition? These are people na they are meeting the minimum, they are doing whatever is required of them, but the attitude is, pero wala kang basis to terminate them. So you sit and wait for them to leave. These are welcome attrition. Okay? So ito yung mga, sige na, umalis ka na. Pag nag-file yan ng resignation, immediate resignation, mabilis pa sa alas 4, you sign it, let them leave. You don't talk about reducing that because you need these people to leave. What you need to watch out for is attrition among your talents. That's one of the things that you have to keep in mind. You don't look out at, you don't monitor all of the attritions and really pay all of your time, attention, and effort in keeping all of these employees. What you need to pay particular attention to is attrition among your talents. In some of the companies that I've worked with, we have actually segmented the attrition that we are looking at. And when it comes to talent, attrition among talent, yan ang talagang inaalagaan namin. We talk to them. It's not to say that we don't talk to the other employees who have a risk for attrition, but we do go the extra mile when it comes to the talents. We make sure that every person that we have identified as a talent, we keep close tabs on them. We know what their motivating factors are. We really go the extra mile in terms of career development, growth, etc., etc. Remember that attrition is not something that is addressed by just one factor. Hindi ito, it's not something that has to do with compensation alone or benefits alone. It's a combination of a lot of things. Somebody in our comment section actually mentioned this, that it's a culmination of all experiences that they've had within that company. It's not something na napagalitan ako ngayon, resign na ako. If that's the case, then I would say that it's a welcome attrition because that person might not have the mental stamina for your company. It's mostly a series of the happenings within the company, and then you have this one situation that breaks the camel's back. So yun, dun nagkakaroon ng attrition. And that's one of the things that you have to pay attention to. So it's not just kailangan namin taasan ang sweldo or kailangan maganda ang benefits or kailangan may career growth. It's a combination of all of these things. As HR, yan ang trabaho natin. Ang trabaho natin is compliance, one part compliance, but most parts is making sure that we understand all of these factors that makes the company a place to stay. Okay? But we also should not forget na lahat yan aalis. Wala naman diyang mag-i-stay forever unless they are COOs, child of the owner, or sila talaga yung may-ari, or ito yung mga talagang board directors, or meron silang mga investment sa company nila. But everyone will leave. Even you. At some point, you will also leave. Kahit pa sabihin natin, 10 years, 15 years, gusto ko dito na mag-retire. Pag nag-retire ka, alis ka din, di ba? So, wag nating let's not hold it against people. When they resign, okay, let's support them. If they resign, go. If it's a welcome attrition at ito talagang gustong-gusto natin umalis, go. Yung mga nagka-counter offer, I don't have anything against counter offer, but think about it. If you're doing a counter offer now, why not just improve the whole salary structure itself so that you don't have to do a counter offer? If you're doing exit interviews and talking to the employees only when they exit, why not do it at each milestone, diba? Within their life cycle? Why don't you create a way for you to talk to the employees every now and then? Para you don't have to worry about the exit interview na doon kayo nagbobolahan dahil ayaw ni employee na i-hold mo yung final pay niya. So hindi mo ngayon malaman bakit nga ba to umalis. So instead of that, keep tabs on them along the way, along their employee life cycle. So yun yung masasabi ko when it comes to controlling attrition. For me, that works most of the time. So that's something that I would impart to our audience. Ayan po. What about you? Sino pa po ba si Coach
Darwin.
Back to you.
Muted. Coach D, muted.
Oh, sorry. Sa lahat ng nakikinig at nanonood, nasabi na pong lahat ni Pyke, ni Mentor Tina, at ni Mentor Rona, lahat ng mga suggestions and recommendations regarding how to mitigate and manage attritions. For my end, 3 things lang. Tama yung sinabi ni Mentor Rona, there are positive and negative attrition. And for you to be able to take advantage of positive and negative attrition, make sure that you do temp checks and engage employees even prior to them resigning. If the employee, kasi dapat meron kayong tinatawag na na early warning system. If you are able to report that this employee is productive, this employee is an asset to the company, then do everything, engage the employee para hindi siya umalis. Resolve whatever issues that the employee has. Kung itong si employee na nalaman nyo na aalis or may potential umalis is a positive attrition, meaning unproductive, mababa yung stats, may behavioral issue. Ang pinakamabuti nyong gawin is i-share nyo ang kanilang profile sa mga headhunters para po magkaroon sila ng ibang opportunity outside your organization at ma-resolve yung issues nyo na meron kayong employee na unproductive, di ba? At it will be a good attrition from your end. That's a tip. Second is that aside from identifying employees if they're positive or negative attrition or possible positive or negative attrition, is understand that at the end of the day, these are people. People needs encouragement. People needs attention. People needs a goal in their lives. And if you're able to provide that, if you're able to provide, di ba, meron tayong tatawag na hierarchy of needs according to Maslow. If you're able to provide those needs to your employees, then they will be able to appreciate and value you because you're adding value to their lives. And lastly, if attrition kasi it's something that has always been happening, and it's something that companies are experiencing, and it really gives a blow to the resources of the company. The best thing that you can do is to have proper succession planning. Pag umalis ba si employee, sino yung papalit sa kanya? Na-prepare nyo na ba yung papalit doon sa aalis? Kasi kung wala kayong pool, internal or external, then mahihirapan talaga kayo. Pero kung meron kayong mahusay na succession planning in place, kahit na yung manager, VP, senior director umalis, if you have a successful succession planning in place, then it won't have a big impact to the business. So that's it. Another value-adding show of HR Cafe, Usapang Trabaho, Buhay, Iba Pa. We'll see you again next week, same time, Sunday, 3 p.m. Maraming salamat po. Bye, everyone!
Bye. Thank you.
Bye!